Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Jackson trying to throw for it, and he's got it. Marquise Brown hangs on to the football and scores. How do you like that?
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
And on second down, it's Williams up the middle. Short of the first, the ball is out. It's scooped up by the Cowboys. On the run up the field, Aldon Smith motoring to the other end, and Aldon Smith will take it in for a Dallas touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
John Lovett in the backfield. He's got the rock. Left side. Lovett
Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Here we go. Tuesday afternoon, state championship week in the state of Texas. High school football. Mart tries to win their umpteenth state championship. It's tomorrow night at AT&T Stadium in 2 games. The first game just after noon, and then Mart plays tomorrow night. That is state championship week. And it's also week number 2 of the 5As and 6As as they get into the playoffs last week. And now this week, Temple, one of the few teams left after the first week when 11 6A knocked out Bryan and Harker Heights and Shoemaker as well. And so Temple tried to carry that flag in 6A as well. And we'll hear from their former head coach, Mike Spradlin, who he plays Temple at Rockwall Heath. He'll join us today at 3:45. I am a Heisman voter. I'm proud of that. I'm stunned, in fact, when I got an opportunity to be a part of that. And I have a question for you. Does Kyle Trask and the loss by Florida affect his Heisman Trophy campaign? Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, maybe even Mac Jones. Paul, Craig, who would you vote right now if you had a Heisman vote? Who would get your vote right now?
Kyle Trask.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle Trask has been the most consistent player all year long. He hasn't had what I can think of as a bad game. They've been in every game they've played in. They've lost a couple, but that's part of the deal. I'm going Kyle Trask. I don't think Justin Fields has done nearly enough to trump what Trask has done. I don't think Mac Jones is as individual of a player as Trask has to be at sometimes, although you could say Trask is not quite what he is without Kyle Pitts. But what would Mac Jones be without, like, the best wide receiver in football and then, like, 2 other guys who could arguably be the best wide receivers in college football, not to mention all the other skill guys. So, yeah, I would go with Trask.
Paul?
Yeah, I would go with Trask. Look, the Gators didn't lose to A&M because of Kyle Trask, and they didn't lose to LSU because of Kyle Trask. As a matter of fact, they're only in those games because of Kyle Trask, because their defense isn't very good. And he had them on the cusp of the college football playoff discussion in spite of the fact that anyone can score on them at will. So, yeah, to me, it's Kyle Trask.
All right, well, I'll have my vote. I got an email today. I have not had a chance to look at it yet, but I will be, in fact, working on that a little bit later on today. I just saw this note from Max Olson, just a note. Jason Shelley, remember, he's been bounced around quite a bit. The Utah State and Utah quarterback is back in the transfer portal. He was dismissed from Utah State in November as he continues to bounce around. Speaking of which, yesterday after the show, Xavier Newman, a player that had a rough year, as did every offensive lineman at Baylor, has decided he will come back for a year. Colt Barber also reporting that a young man from Arkansas State who would have 3 years of eligibility looking to be a part of the transfer portal and maybe has been, at least had conversations with Dave Veranda and his staff.
Well, I'm going to be interested to see what they do at the quarterback spot because they're going to sign Kyron Drones tomorrow. They'll have, of course, Jacob Zeno. We need to figure out what's going on with Gary Bohannon, or he needs to figure out what's going on with Gary Bohannon because that seems to be kind of 50-50 on whether or not he's with Baylor next year just based on how this year has gone. So that leaves him with 3 quarterbacks when they sign Drones tomorrow. 4 if you count Gary, which you still technically should. But, if Zeno's your front runner going into next year, you're not really going to go out and grab a guy who you think is going to be the starter next year. Remember when they ran into this problem with McClendon and Charlie, where, the first year you went and you got the Hawaii quarterback, whose name I've already forgotten.
Solomon.
Yes, Anu Solomon, and he was concussed to all hell and back, and so Charlie became the guy. And then the next year you brought McClendon in, and that kind of went back and forth before Charlie just became the guy. So, you got to be careful picking a quarterback if that's what route you're going to go. So that'll be interesting to see if they do go out and get a more experienced guy, because there's going to be plenty in there. And you might have not have seen because this came down the last hour, but just a year after signing with UT, Duncanville quarterback Jaquindon Jackson's now in the transfer portal. He never even saw the field, I don't believe, not at quarterback at least. So he's already in the transfer portal after 1 year, with Hudson Card coming in there pretty soon. So, yeah, it's going to be a wild market.
I just saw this. Sam Carroll, remember the young man from played high school football in New Mexico, didn't play this year, had an offer from Baylor. Those two went different directions. He just committed to Washington State. He landed on his feet with both feet planted. SFA gave him an offer. There's a few others. I mentioned to everybody last week when this story came down that Washington State had shown interest. North Dakota State had shown interest. So he has committed to Washington State with the Cougars in football. That's great. That happened in a hurry. He graduates very soon, and now he can arrive on campus in Pullman or whatever the story might be there at this particular time.
That SFA's pissed.
Yeah. Well,
they're like, hey, we're going to go swoop in and grab this guy, and here comes Washington State.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I'm an SFA guy, and Colby Carthel launched right into him. They said, yeah, we want to look at you, and then offered. But this is something, it's hard to pass that up if you have a chance to play at a Power 5 school in the Pac-12. Michigan, Iowa, canceled. The Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, Jalen Darden, wide receiver from North Texas. I am fortunate to be a part of that Bolitnikoff Award as well. And, man, when I saw his numbers, they jump out at you. He has had an amazing year, and he won the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, and he's had an incredible year for North Texas. They just beat UTEP 45-43.
He's had, I think, like 3 games with 4 touchdowns. I think it's somewhere around there. I know he's had at least 2, including, I think it was last week. And he's been unbelievable. He's had a Corey Coleman type of year when Corey won the Bolitnikoff, except for Corey was on a good team. Nobody watches North Texas. Sorry, Tyler. But they don't. They don't win a lot of games. They haven't had a bunch of other players around him, so he's basically been a one-man show, and that's why nobody really knows about him, but they're starting to right now.
Quentin Johnston, the kid from Temple, who had a pretty good game against Baylor, caught that long pass early, touchdown as well. He's a part of the honorable mention. Craig puts that together. Cindy runs it. Quentin Johnston, Temple was part of the nominees for the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award. You know who has won that award? I want you to think about the NFL. Now, the first winner was Bryce Petty, and everyone thought it was going to be Johnny Football. It was Bryce Petty. Then you had Trayvon Boykin, who was fantastic, and, of course, he's run into trouble. Greg Ward playing in the NFL with the Eagles. Deontay Foreman washed out. But that year was fantastic for Texas.
I think he's with the Titans.
Okay, well, good. I hope he's got it. Baker Mayfield, who was incredible last night. That was one of the best NFL games, if not the best game of the year last night. Kyler Murray and J.K. Dobbins, who was a part of that game as well. That's a hell of a list of those who have won that award. And 4 of them right now, 5 if Foreman's with the Titans.
Yeah, I believe that he
are
is.
in the NFL.
You know, that list could look better, that 2016 year, but the list would only look better in hindsight, and that would be cheating. But that 2016 year, Patrick Mahomes was also a finalist. And if you were to fast forward and go like, hey, what would look better now? It'd be Patrick Mahomes as your winner for that year, right? But the fact of the matter was he wasn't even on a bowl team. So as good as he was, you're not going to win the Heisman if your team doesn't even go to the bowl game. And that was, something that I think prevented Patrick from probably picking up a lot of hardware, plus the stigma of just being a Texas Tech quarterback because he wasn't Patrick Mahomes back then, right? So, Deontay Foreman had over 2,000 yards rushing that season, and I forget who else was a finalist, but, I mean, he was deserving that year.
Well, there's a couple of NFL GMs that looked at Patrick Mahomes as he's a Texas Tech quarterback, and now
system
he's
guy and all that.
System guy, yeah.
Here's the thing, though, and Grant, I'm glad you brought that up. I remember when I first was able to join as someone who puts together the ballot and votes for the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, how too many guys were getting in because of what they did in college or the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is a great football player in the NFL. He was spectacular at Tech, but because of the fact they didn't win much at all, there's only a few that have ever overcome that. Paul Hornung, the late Paul Hornung, was one of them, and he played at Notre Dame. And then there was just, like, I'll give you an example. Just give me I don't know. Patrick Mahomes at White House was really, really good, and I don't know if he'll ever be a part of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. Maybe he will, but if he gets in, he was fantastic. Craig did some of his games. There's a lot of other quarterbacks who have better numbers and were better in high school, no matter how spectacular of a player he was at White House.
I'll make a prediction right now. He'll get into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, just period.
Yeah, I understand that.
If they put him in the High School Hall of Fame, and I covered him in high school, that's bupkis. That's hindsight and changing history, because as somebody who covered those games, nobody was paying attention to Patrick Mahomes until about his senior year, and even then, not a lot of people were paying attention to Patrick Mahomes. Trust me on that, because I'm sitting there wondering, like, midway through his junior year, like, where are the offers? Like, only Kingsbury's coming after this guy, and I think Browse did a little bit, But
no, yeah, there was some discussion.
But
yeah.
there wasn't like hot and heavy, like he was the dude and they had to have him.
His father, Pat, reached out to me a few times and said, hey, I wish that Baylor would offer him.
Yeah, I mean, Texas wasn't after him. Like A&M wasn't after him. So, Kingsbury, that's why Kingsbury's Kingsbury, and that's why he's where he is all these years later. But yeah, Patrick was great, but he was just on a bad team.
One thing that's great about Cliff Kingsbury as a college coach is that he can identify a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the 11 other positions on the field and the 11 on defense, he was not good at that. So he could work a quarterback, and that's why he's an NFL head coach right now, because it's a quarterback-driven league, and you pair him with Kyler Murray, and you give him Vance Joseph on the defensive side of the ball, and you say, I think you can work this.
I'll give you an example about Patrick Mahomes. If he gets in the High School Hall of Fame, it'll be because of what he did in college, and especially the NFL. And I get the fact that he would be a part of the discussion, but there's a guy named Hunter Taylor and Brady Attaway, quarterbacks that played at the same high school. This is just an example that we overlook, who have better career numbers in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and everything else in between. Although Patrick Mahomes, his senior year, was spectacular.
Well, and then in college he was throwing 88 pass attempts a game, and just stuff like that. And I think that overshadows how special of a player he is, because you look at the stats and you go, why is he throwing 88 times in a game? You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. But I think one thing that's cool about the Earl Award is the fact that over the last 3-4 years in particular, well, really since it started, quite frankly, because even Petty was getting Heisman love at one point.
Yep.
Ward got invited, I think, to the ceremony. Baker and Kyler obviously won it. And then Hurts was a finalist a couple of times. But I think the fact that it's been so intertwined with the Heisman, Kyler wins it, Kyler won the Heisman. Baker won it, Baker won the Heisman. So we've had those connections there.
All right, so also tonight in the Big 12 in men's basketball, got one conference game tonight. Kansas State plays at Iowa State in the Big 12. There's only been one conference game, and that was Oklahoma beat TCU, and that's it. And we know Baylor in Texas was pushed back, and now Baylor's trying to get through the numbers and the COVID, and we saw the latest updates earlier today, and you could see where there was that flare-up. Not quite like it was a month and a half, 2 months ago, but there has been the flare-up. We know that those are student-athlete numbers. And of course, we know what the football team dealt with last week, and then the men's basketball team as well. All right, so did you guys watch Cleveland and Baltimore?
Yeah, every second of it.
And I know we got a lot to get to. This first two segments, 254-339-1122. Lines are open, text messages available as well. We'd love to get your feedback, if we possibly can, on anything as Baylor goes to the offseason. We've gotten answers on Charlie Brewer and John Lovett, and now Xavier Newman. I don't know if he was one of those that you could take him or leave him, but I tell you this, bodies. They need bodies, and maybe Xavier Newman another offseason. Did you guys realize what I don't think I kept this part. One of the things that Dave Veranda did stress in his postgame was weights.
Yes.
Strength.
I was going to say on Newman, this is not him walking into the exit meeting, in my opinion. This is not him walking into the exit meeting saying, hey, I want to come back, and they're like, okay, great. This is them having a conversation and saying, okay, Xavier, if you want to come back, we would like to have you back, but here's what's going to have to be done. I don't think it's as simple as just like, I think it's a two-way street. And so to me, that says that it's great that not only Newman wants to come back, but clearly the coaches also want him back, because they could make the decision to say, you know what, we're going to move another direction, because he's been here for 4 years. So I think that's a positive, is that they both see.
Remember, he was supposed to have last year off.
Right.
And now he kind of has had almost in a way because of parts of the suspension. But I agree with you. Yeah, that means that they're kind of both said, okay.
Well, Matt Rule wanted him to redshirt last year, and then he couldn't. Yeah. And so then he had to play. And then this whole eligibility debacle happened because of COVID. And so then that gave him that extra year. And then, yes, he was hurt this year and all that, but I've been down on him this year, but I've been down on the whole O-line like most people. So I think there's clearly something there with him. There's clearly some talent, and there's clearly something that they like to want to have him back in the fold and for him to want to be back in the fold. So I think that's a positive overall.
You know what I think they like?
The body,
He's a human being.
Right, but I mean, if it's all about just being a body, you could go grab another body.
Yeah, I know, but this was a lot of people point at what Charlie Brewer dealt with or John Lovett. He was disappointing. I mean, he's got to get better. But I think they must see something, as you said, that they brought him back.
Right, so if he's so disappointing, then they could easily have said, okay, well, maybe it's in your better interest to go to North Texas or to SFA or somewhere like that. But instead they said, no, let's let's have you back. So they, like I said, they clearly see something there. And I think that's a positive that he's going to be back.
All right. The text line right now is having some technical difficulties. It's not us. It's who handles it. So 254-339-1122. Hopefully we'll get that done. The number available, 254-339-1122. Now that we've had a couple of answers, who is the number one, or what is the number one decision from someone who came back or could come back or might come back that's on your mind? Who is that? Because there is still, and it looks more and more positive every day with Treston Ebner or Tyquan Thornton or someone like that. Is it Gary Bohannon? Joey McGuire? Who is it? And again, that's kind of calmed down a little bit. Of course, coaching changes are about to happen even more. Who is the number one decision of a player coming back that you're now interested in saying he's coming back, that has an option to go somewhere else if he wants to? Lack of playing time, productivity, unhappy, whatever. 254-339-1122. Let's take a break here. We'll come back with more SicEm365 Radio. Both Jack and Armstrong are on the Mothership. Armstrong, would you please take the shot of the two of you? Does that include both of you today? Is that open and ready to go? Is that locked and loaded?
Oh, yeah. We're going.
Yeah, there we go. It almost looks like you guys are in a well. I mean, isn't it not, Paul, that they're stuck in a mother's basement or something like that?
We're trapped back
Baby
here.
Jessica.
Well,
We definitely are.
God,
They don't even know what that is.
I never heard of that.
Look it up. It's the most horrific thing I've ever seen.
We watched it on the news every day.
And she
right?
lived. Yes,
Yeah.
it was every day with a leg split up in a oil whatever.
Well, that was,
like it was. What was it?
Sewer. It was like
about 12 inches wide.
Oh, I remember
stuck
that.
There. Oh,
Wasn't that? How long ago was that?
It was in the 80s. You weren't
20 years
alive.
ago.
Oh, okay. Well, there was
30.
something like that happened maybe 15 years ago.
I start
Anyways.
losing my breath. I get hyperventilated thinking about baby Jessica. She survived. And also, where's the big overhead shot? Where's the one that shows like the entire building?
Oh, we got
there
that.
It is.
Big moves.
We got to be careful when we open that one up because there could be things in paraphernalia that you guys, the young kids, have that might be around the studio. Is that right?
I'm just looking for paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia. What? I don't know what you're talking about.
254-339-1122. Who are you now waiting to hear from coming back or not? 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio. I got off the phone earlier today with Braden Embry with Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Do you know that they are about to break ground on a brand new facility that will be bigger, better, faster, stronger? It's going to take a while to build it because it's going to be a massive structure for a place that's been around Waco forever. 1943. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel. And they are about to unwind and unload and unveil a brand new location. They're going to put the shovel in the dirt, and then it's going to take a while because it's going to be a monstrosity of a building. I joke with Braden. I said, it's not going to be as big as that Amazon building they're building over off of Highway 6 and 340. No, that looks like it's a football stadium for like an NFL team. But they're going to build something new, and when it comes to metal roofing, metal buildings, and pipe and steel, they are your leader in Central Texas and around the country as well. PioneerBoys.com online, and also the locations in both Bryan and Waco. Open on Saturday mornings if you can't get to them during the week from 8 until 12. Throughout the week, they'll deliver and unload the product because it's bulky and heavy, and it's great for what you build, what you need. Pioneer Boys, Pioneer Steel and Pipe, locations in Waco and Bryan.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties and the time with family. Various specials available in-store and online. A variety of steak gift boxes with 4 ribeyes for $70, 4 bacon wrap fillets for $55, or 4 New York strips for $50, and all come with steak butter. Fall snack box for watching a game or wrapping presents or hosting people at your house, including summer sausage, split horn, and jalapeno cheese, and salted crackers for only $35. 2 pieces of lobster tails with herb butter and 2 bacon wrap fillets for $60. Order online or call in advance to ensure availability, or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive. Waco Custom Marketplace has a full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. Plus, what you want with pork, poultry, seafood, and more. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the nude. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84, no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Back here on this Tuesday, December the 15th, 2020, closing 16 days away from the end of a phenomenal and crazy and bad and sometimes maybe even good ways is 2020. Who has not, at least you've heard from Brewer and Lovett and Xavier Newman, who was not on my list, my checklist of the ones you were worried about or I was worried about. If he comes back, great. If he doesn't, that's okay too. Nothing wrong with Xavier, just that the protocol of the list that I had. We discussed it on Friday, Saturday, and also yesterday. Craig, is there anyone else who has not made a decision? Would you like to see Trustin Ebner post something, or Tyquan Thornton? Who would it be next man in line now that we've heard from Charlie Brewer and also from John Lovett?
Well, anybody knows me knows it's Trustin Ebner. So, yeah, I would like to see him say something. If John Lovett, was his running mate all those years and John Lovett's announced that he's going somewhere else, then Trustin Ebner, I feel like, would be – if he's going to decide to stay at Baylor, would be a good move to say, hey, I'm coming back for another year. He's a senior. So for the people out there, for all we know, he's moving on. And sure, he could take up that extra year. But if he does, I'd like to know that. I'd like to be able to retweet the Trustin Ebner tweet about coming back to Baylor for a 5th year. I mean, Xavier Newman did it. The two guys who've decided to leave did it the opposite way, but I think he would be a good shot in the arm for the fan base. I think it'd be good for the program to have a guy of that caliber saying, hey, I'm coming back for another year. Because we're going to see announcements left and right here over the next couple of weeks from every school for guys saying they're coming back or they're not. So, yeah, I would like to see an announcement of sorts. And I understand why he may not feel the need to, but I think for any senior, if you are taking advantage of that extra year, then I'd like to, I think it'd be smart to make that known.
I think Ebner would, in a normal, and I don't know if the draft year is going to work out the same way. I think Ebner in a normal draft year could go out and wind up, he'll probably be a third-day pick, but a high third-day pick like in the fourth round.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be a slot receiver in the pros too. I don't think he's going to be a running back or at least traditional.
Not even a running back now,
yeah,
really.
So, and maybe coming back will allow him to move to wide receiver or play more wide receiver and do that and do something that he's probably really better at. So yeah, I think that would help and maybe up his draft stock. Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see him leave either, though, just because Lovett left and they made that decision together earlier in the year. Who I want to see come back, honestly, I'd like to see Thornton and Snead like in tandem make that call.
Yeah, I before we forget, because I think his injury probably played into it, but Terrell Bernard is certainly at the very top of the list, and I would even put him above Ebner because his name just came back into my head again. So I would have Ebner as your top offensive guy, and Bernard is your top guy, period, point blank. That's end of story. So if he comes back next year and you got what you got out of Abram Smith and you have Dylan Doyle, then you're looking pretty good at linebacker, in my opinion, not to mention some of the other guys. But if
Wonder if Petrie's coming back.
And Petrie's a big one because I think Petrie should come back because I don't – but then again, like, how much better can you play? Because I don't see – he's not going to gain 3 inches of height in the offseason, you know what I mean? He's not going to suddenly become 6'2", 6'3", and a first-round pick. He is who he is, but – damn, he's good. And if they got him back and Bernard back, and you've got guys like Doyle returning, and
defensive line, your defensive line through COVID or injuries,
your defensive line's not going to be torn apart because they're all pretty much sophomores at this point. And then your secondary, I mean, there's the Tejadas and there's those guys that you'll certainly miss, but you do have some younger guys back there. And going back to a point you made a little while ago, and I got away from it, but I did take note of Dave Aranda talking about guys' weights and making it very clear, if you were listening closely enough, that because of COVID, one thing is not only have guys missed time, but they missed time in conditioning, and they've also lost weight, and they weren't playing at the proper weight
or strength
for college football players, so that came into play as well.
A couple of calls. Also, there's an update about Marcus, on Kiante Johnson. That's great news. Stable condition, breathing on his own, speaking with us. This is from the parents. And with his doctors at the University of Florida Health Center. He FaceTimed the team, feels so much love and support from everyone, and we're beyond grateful for the care and attention that Kiante has received throughout these past few days. That is incredible news, and the young man who collapsed on Saturday in a game against Florida State. Paul?
All right, T-Rex, you're on the Impact Health Labs caller line. Thanks for your call.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Hope you're having a good day on this eve of what I'm sure we all hope is a glorious early signing day. So I'm sure y'all are all ready for that. I know all the Baylor fans and all the fans in college football, for that matter, are ready for that. So good luck to y'all tomorrow morning, bright and early. I heard Brian was going to show up with some goods for y'all in the morning for breakfast. So good luck to those that are there. Real quick to answer the question, y'all, kind of floated out there. Who do you think you would like to see come back, the most? I agree with Craig there. Terrell's a huge guy coming back in. I think, if he didn't get injured, who knows? But I think that, he just needs more film. So I couldn't really see him leaving. So hopefully he comes back. And like you said, that reinforces that entire linebacker core. Another guy, and he may leave, he may not, would be William Bradley King. I think he had a great year here in his one season here. I would love for him to come back, but, he's got to look at his potential future and look at that draft stock. Same thing with Raleigh, guys like that. Offense, I think y'all hit it all on the head. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, Snead, big guy. I got to know his family really well. He's a good kid, so I would love to see him come back and have an explosive year. Build that film and get those scouts looking at him, make some more of those crazy spectacular catches that he was doing this year. And then same thing, Ebner, everybody else, man. So I think y'all pretty much covered everybody that we hope to come back. And then hopefully, to build on that, we get some good transfers, maybe some JUCO offensive linemen. Looks like we offered that kid out of, I believe he might have been Arkansas State or Arkansas, I can't remember today. I think I saw a tweet about that. So, I hope we take advantage of the transfer market as well as that extra year, because we're basically getting these guys for free for an extra year. So that'd be nice. I think the best offensive lines in college usually are built upon those 4- and 5-star guys that didn't have the grades, so they go to JUCO, and then you get them for cheap. So I'll always stand by that and hope we take advantage of that. Other than that, man, I just hope we have a good week. and hope our basketball teams keep rolling and Baylor men's get it back together so they can go and dominate the Big 12 and get us that title that they unfortunately weren't able to pull off last year. Women, they're going to do their thing. They doubled up Tech last night, so that's always good to see. But other than that, man, y'all just have a good week and don't change what you're doing because I'll never change. Sic'em.
T-Rex, thanks for the call. Appreciate your time. 254-339-1122. You mentioned William Bradley King. Raleigh Tejada, William Bradley King, I feel like they're both gone. And if they don't leave, that's incredible. But if they do leave, good luck. And I think they'll both, of course, be drafted or be on NFL rosters like the 13 or 14 are right now from the year or two ago. Craig, when you brought up Terrell Bernard, it's kind of an out of sight, out of mind. He's the best football player on the team until the injury at Ames, Iowa, against Iowa State, and that's when you were able to get a little bit more from Abram Smith, which was great news as well.
But think about how deep that position would be if he does.
Yeah. Oh, no. Exactly. I mean absolutely. And the defensive line, and you saw bits and pieces of what they could do, whether it's T.J. Franklin or some of the other younger players. What was his Landry, who kind of blew up in the game against Oklahoma. And there's and some guys who just, like Gabe Hall, Obaniah, they just never really.
Well, Gabe Hall's been hurt
that's
throughout
what I'm
his
saying.
Entire career. It's Colt will post like an injury note or something, and to me, it's a crapshoot if Gabe Hall's available. Honestly, there's just times where he's just not there all of a sudden. And, part of that's probably just being young. I think part of the injuries this year has been just the weird nature of it. But, no, there's a lot to like. And if they do get a Terrell Bernard back, and depending on what other guys decide to do, this could be I expect the defense to be good regardless of who leaves. But if half the guys come back, or even just a Bernard comes back, they're going to be in really good shape next year.
254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio. In the next segment, we continue this one, 254-339-1122, a few other topics to get to, and a couple of notes from Dave Aranda that I peeled from his Saturday night postgame that are more not about the game, the wreckage that was against Oklahoma State, or against Baylor by Oklahoma State, but a few things that kind of teased a little bit as we go into the offseason. Here's one about Dave Aranda when it comes to the timeline. And we now know, again, about Charlie Brewer and John Lovett. We now know that Newman said he's coming back. And I'm sure that was a conversation. Are you all in? Are you all in? That kind of thing. But also there's still, you could have something happen 8 days from now, 2 weeks from now. Sometime after the spring drills or even in the summer, that can still change. Someone could still say, I'm gone. And everyone that leaves, that room for somebody else to come in. Here's when I asked Dave Aranda about decisions and is there a specific timeline. Now, remember, this was Saturday night. This is now Tuesdays, so the timeline a little bit gray area here.
There isn't. I think we have a feel for the guys that want to return. And so I think a couple guys today mentioned to me that they wanted to come back and they're excited about coming back. And so, I think that there is a fair amount that are, that's kind of what they're thinking about. But I think just having those exit meetings of just being real clear about, hey, this is us, man. Per the couple questions ago of foundation and all of it, like, this is us. This is what we want to be about. This is how we conduct our business. This is what we want to represent. And then getting guys that want to be all in on that. And I feel like there's a lot of them, and we want them with us. And so I think that is going to really come to light here in the next couple of days. I don't know. There may be one or two that take a little bit longer than that in terms of getting away from everything. But just my hunch is that it'll be sooner than later.
So that's Dave Aranda. Sooner than later was the next day with Charlie Brewer. Sooner than later was on Monday with John Lovett. And now people start to fall into place whether they're staying or not. And there are some decisions that still need to be made. National Signing Day right now is who that staff is also focused on. And that means tomorrow when you bring in new blood, those who will be on campus at midterm, there's some that won't be. Some will have to wait until, May or June. For example, yesterday, Cameron Bonner, who we had a chance to visit with, Grayson was all over that commitment out of St. Thomas in Houston. He will not be a part of the midterm. He won't be here in January, but that kid's coming. And now all of a sudden you have a couple of fresh faces in Monterey Baldwin from Shoemaker and then Cameron Bonner at positions they desperately needed people to come in as part of this staff. And look what's happening there. Those guys can do it. And again, they have to prove it at the college level, but both of them have opportunities to help Baylor as well.
Well, I don't feel like either one will probably be counted on too much right away, because I do feel like their receiver group is pretty. I'll say this. The receiver group has a lot of work to do, but there's a pretty good number of bodies there. They certainly need to add more, though. But, at some point, your Gavin Holmeses and your Jared Atkinsons or, your Jackson Gleasons and your Jalen Ellises and those guys, they're going to be the seniors, and they're not that far away from that Ellis is.
And you hope R.J. Sneed and
R.J. Sneed and Tyquan. I mean, you got a lot of guys, so who's going to be a part of that by next year? Is R.J. here? Is Tyquan here? Et cetera, so on and so forth. And then there's guys who we don't even think of as pressing decisions necessarily, who could just be like your random sophomore who decides to go somewhere because, again, it's free reign this offseason.
Here's another thing about numbers at wide receiver. There were numbers at wide receiver this year. This is not to be callous, and this is not to be like tacky. You had numbers this year, but either because there wasn't time to get in the ball, or Charlie couldn't get in the ball, or they weren't getting themselves separation, or combination of above, right? All three. Numbers is one thing. Go do it.
Yeah.
Some of them flashed it. Go do it. Week in and week out, go do it. Sometimes it wasn't the receiver's fault, but it's not as if they didn't also themselves have problems at times getting open. And I hate it for Jared Atkinson. He always kind of like, he had an opportunity, had the big catch against Iowa State. Remember the big 50-something yarder on the little wheel route or whatever it was? Mm-hmm. And then he goes out in practice because somebody rolls up on the back of him. Hate it for him. He seems to have the body size, the speed. He catches the ball well, but it's always something that kind of interrupts his progress as well. 254-339-1122 from, no, that's not one Armstrong wants me to bring up. He didn't want me to bring up. Somebody just called me or texted me and said that we blocked his number.
Well, we had it was on the thing. It was very dirty what they said.
I told him. That's fine. We'll get to it. We'd love to hear from you. 254-339-1122. Now, let's get to Iowa State and Oklahoma play for the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State was a wrecking machine down the stretch. Oklahoma had the game where they were a little bit hit and miss at times because Baylor's defense played out of their gourd and showed flashes of who they could be under Dave Veranda, Dave Roberts. And then, of course, against Oklahoma State, all that disappeared. I think it's because the defense finally said, hell, we're done. We're gassed, mostly and mentally. Who wins? Iowa State, Oklahoma. Has Oklahoma done enough the last month and a half to make you feel differently about when they played earlier this year?
Yeah. Their defense is good. Iowa State's just really solid. They do a lot of really good things, or they do a lot of things really well. But they're who they are. I mean, they haven't changed much from the team that we knew last year. They're just a year older and more together and all of that. Oklahoma's a different looking team. Just look no further than quarterback, and it's taken them some time. And they haven't had great depth at running back, and their O-line's not as dominant as it was. But they've started to come together, and when they have struggled, the defense has been able to hold them above water, kind of like Baylor in some ways, and that's not what Oklahoma's typically been able to do. So it's been a different type of year for them. I think Spencer Rattler's gotten more confident. I think they know who their playmakers are now, Marvin Mims and Ramondre Stevenson, and there's some others, but this is going to be a huge challenge. I think Oklahoma will be ready to play, but I'm not so sure Iowa State's just not the better team. So I'm fascinated to see what happens on Saturday.
Yeah, they seem to be the better team because week in and week out, they got it done. There was no ups and downs. Well, I mean, early on,
and they had no interruptions. That helped too.
And that might be because they are more senior laden. Maybe, I've heard other coaches, not just football coaches, talk about how, you could be a senior or a redshirt junior or a freshman. You're going to get COVID if you're not careful. That's going to happen. You're sometimes out of your control, even if you try to put it in your control. But Iowa State seemed to handle this better. They did. And there's a reason why they're, what are they, 8-2? 8-1 in the conference. Week in and week out, they were consistent, although they had to dodge the big, huge cannonball down in Austin against Texas. So there's a couple of times in which they had to escape. They lost to Oklahoma State when Oklahoma State seemed to be playing pretty well early. They also were pushed to the gills by Baylor at home. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they've just run right through people. But what they did, what was the game a couple of weeks ago that was such an important game? And they destroyed Kansas State. But I thought there was one other game when they just drilled somebody that was kind of a game that they had to get. And they did. They took care of it.
Kansas State was one of them because that was a ridiculously
48 to nothing
game.
Or whatever it was. It was. Paul, Oklahoma, Iowa State.
West Virginia, they beat the mess out of as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting because this is not the Oklahoma team that Iowa State beat. I mean, it is. I mean, I know factually it is, but it's not. It's different. Alex Grinch has gotten his defense to take root, and it's not as good as it's going to be. I wrote this a couple weeks ago on the site. The rest of the country should start to worry. If Oklahoma starts playing defense, which is the only thing that's kept them from winning in the playoff, they should worry because if Alex Grinch can really, really, really take root there, that's dangerous for the future. And Rattler's only going to get better, and the offense is only going to get better. It's Lincoln Riley. So another year in, I think that's going to be a really dangerous team. And I think for Saturday, that means that Iowa State's in for something that they didn't see the last time around. I think both teams are so well coached. It's going to be a great game, and it's going to come right down to the end. I'm leaning Oklahoma just because it's hard to beat a team twice. It's hard to beat a team like Oklahoma once, and to do it again is going to be really tough. That's why I'm leaning Sooners.
All right. I want to tell you something about SicEm365 Radio. Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Craig, it's going to be you? Mm-hmm. Who else?
Grayson and Armstrong and Brian Etheridge.
We're going to be a part of a National Signing Day special tomorro.
And Jack.
And Jack's going to be here. And I'll toss in what you need. Paul will be available. They don't even ask us because I think they know. Recruiting's not my strength anyway.
I think
honestly.
they know how I feel about it in general.
But at the same time, we'll have interviews from Kyron Drones, Jordan Jenkins, and all that, whether it's on that show at 7 and what they do, bits and pieces of Cameron Bonner, and then also what we're going to do tomorrow at 3 to 6. Jordan Jenkins from Lindale. They're playing for a state championship this week. He'll join us live at 5:30. That's just a tease. Just saw a note that Dave Veranda will meet with the media tomorrow right at 3 o'clock on National Signing Day. Also tomorrow, Kyron Drones, among many others that are part of it. Lemire. So we'll have full throttle from 7 until whenever they say goodbye. And then again, we'll start back up at 3 o'clock tomorrow with National Signing Day. And on top of that, some of the local players who are going elsewhere. And some of the better high school players in this area and what they decide to do. Some of them we know. Kavion Gaither, Zach Rabachic, they're going to Sam Houston State. So we'll keep up with all of that. La Vega's got like 20 guys signing tomorrow. They've got a huge, just in a massive group that are signing with Don Hyde from La Vega and the Pirates as well. When we come back, is Mike Spradlin. He coached at I think it was Abilene Cooper, did a good job. He then went to Temple and set them up. They went to state championship games. He left to become the AD at Magnolia. He then took the job at Rockwall Heath his second year there. They're 8-2. Their 2 losses are to South Lake Carroll and Rockwall, 2 really good teams that are still playing. He plays Temple this week in the second round of the 6A playoffs. Scott Stewart has kept that Temple program right there humming, right? This year they won the district championship. It's going to be a hell of a matchup. Former coach against the current coach who was on his staff at Temple, Mike Spradlin from Rockwall Heath, next on SicEm365 Radio. Don Humidor, you're home for the best in cigars, coffee beans, and even what you need when it comes to CBD products. CBD products, for example, let's say you struggle going to bed at night. Let's say that when you fall asleep, 10:30, 9:15, 11:45, 2 o'clock in the morning, whenever it might be that you normally fall asleep, but more often than not, you just don't fall asleep quick enough. There's something, and you might have a lot in your mind, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to fall asleep. They have Vita Dreams at Don Humidor. They're gummies, different milligrams. You take a little bite of one, you take the whole one, whatever it is. Be careful about the number of milligrams. It will help you fall asleep and rest comfortably. So when you wake up after 5 or 6 or 7 hours, you feel like you've had more. Plus, you have more because you're going to fall asleep earlier and more comfortably and not sit there and toss and turn for 30 minutes and an hour and whatever else it might be. So that's at Don Humidor. But yes, the 48-foot walk-in humidor. Man, that place is amazing with cigars you would love from Ashton and Macanudo, Rocky Patel, and much more. Arturo Fuente, Cohiba, my father, And so they have cigar products and the various varieties, assortment of aroma and taste of fresh coffee beans. Don Humidor, tell Carol and Ashley Smokey sent you in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
Former Temple and current Rockwall Heath head football coach Mike Spradlin with us on SicEm365 Radio. Man, it's great to hear your voice. Good for you. You're in the playoffs, and you won the first game. And now, when the bracket came out and you saw what might be Division I or Division II, did you see that possibility of Temple coming down the pipe in round two?
Well, I mean, I think, David, the answer to that is probably at some point I realized that could happen, right? I mean, as we got later in the season, I'm not going to lie to you. When I took the job, that wasn't even on my radar that there. I mean, Temple was still 5A, and of course we're 6A program, and the chance that we would wind up in the same region, you know what I mean? All that stuff just wasn't on my radar at all. So anyway, long story short, yeah, I think probably 3 or 4 weeks ago I realized that if we were, of course we're just one game at a time right now, David.
Sure.
I mean, we're in the we're in the, kind of the culture flip here, if you will, and there was some good history back when, but the last 4 or 5 years have been a little bit rough, and so long story short, we've just been focused on ourselves for right now, but yeah, we're just excited to be playing, man.
What did you see at Rockwall ISD? What did you see with Heath that made that job intriguing? You obviously went 5-5, and now you're already second round of the playoffs.
Well, David, I mean, for me, it was a life thing, right? I mean, I can't even. It'd take me forever to tell you how much I love Temple and love the people in Temple. And so when I had that opportunity to leave and go be an AD, if you will, those aren't jobs that you just, wake up one morning and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go be an AD. They just come to you, and so you either take it or you don't. But if you don't take it, you're probably not ever going to. And so I kind of talked myself into it, if you will, that this is where I need to go career-wise and, extend my career, and all those things. And, gosh, even though it was a fantastic place and a great job, I was miserable, David. Coaching's, kind of in my blood. And so it just kind of happened. I mean, it was like J.J. Villarreal, who's our superintendent here, was actually assistant soup at Temple my first year there. And so he just got me in the door. He didn't hire me, but I was able to get in the door, and man, here I am. So I just it's kind of one of those things. I mean, without rambling, it's another. I guess I've just kind of gravitated towards fiction stuff, and it felt like it had the opportunity to do that. It's a great place. I grew up in Dallas, went to Carter High School in Oak Cliff, so Dallas is a little bit of home to me.
I did not know about the Carter connection. That's really cool. So you've been around winning. Obviously, you won at Cooper, you won at Temple, took them to a state championship game, and now what you're doing, trying to get Heath into a position where they have success. You've only lost twice. I know no one wants to lose a game, but you've lost to two thoroughbreds in South Lake Carroll and in Rockwall. Both were high-scoring games. The South Lake Carroll game was a track meet. You have been tested. You have played good people. How has your team reacted to that?
Well, we have, David, and it was early, too. And we also played a really good Louisville team who's in the second round of the playoffs right now. The first game, and, of course, it was we scored 72 points. I think they scored 50-something. But so we've been in some shootouts. Yeah, we've kind of, anytime, it's kind of the same thing at Temple, right? You're kind of looking for that signature game, and we kind of got it against Tyler Legacy. It's kind of needing to win that game last year. We lost that game by 4 points and knocked us out of the playoffs. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So, and then of course winning that first playoff game since 2015 was a big deal too here. So yeah, I mean, I think Rockwall's very, very good. Obviously went to the semis last year, got beat by Duncanville, and then South Lake, right? Mm-hmm. And so, we feel like we have been tested, David.
You have this young man on your staff that I think might be one of the best. Well, I've interviewed thousands of high school athletes over the years. I really maybe several hundred, but I've interviewed a lot of them. And Chad President, one of the favorite. I said that after I interviewed him when he was at Temple. He's on your staff, huh?
He is, David. He's incredible. I mean, I really hesitate to say what I'm fixing to say, but if I'm creating a top 10 list, my favorite kids I've ever coached, I mean, Chad's number one, and I hate, that's no disrespect to number 2 or 3, but I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, he's coaching our quarterbacks. We've got a really good one, and he's just, I heard him right out of Tulsa. He graduated at like May the 3rd, and he was here working spring training with us afterwards, so we got him hired quick, and gosh, he's not only a great kid, or now a great man, he's a great football coach. I mean, way exceeded my expectations, even though I knew I was going to get something good. Yeah, he's special, David, without a doubt.
When you left Temple for Magnolia, and by the way, that's a school district that's exploded and done an amazing job down there with what they're doing at Magnolia. When you left and you found out that Scott Stewart was going to be the new coach at Temple, and of course there were options. The coordinators were both right there in that search. What did you see in Scott Stewart, younger Scott Stewart, that has made him successful with what he's doing at Temple?
Well, David, I mean, Scott's a fantastic football coach. I mean, I love Scott. I love him to death. He's a great planner. He's a passionate guy. He's got great charisma. He's a kid magnet, all those things that you're looking for, right? He's a great leader. Man, I mean, that guy is one of my top favorites. And for whatever reason, David, I mean, I've kind of had this thing where, Cooper and Temple and trying to, I was with Art, by the way, when we flipped the Houston thing, and there's just something about it. People say, well, he didn't stay very, very long. Of course, 5 years is 5 years, right? But it's like everybody wins, right? I mean, I go to Magnolia. I heard J.D. Burnett, who coached with me for 13 years, including the 5 I was at Temple, and he becomes the head coach at West. And now he's the AD. And Blake Joseph, who was on our staff at Temple, is the head coach at West. And Craig Martin, who was the OC at Temple, is now the head coach at Magna. So everybody kind of wins, David. It's like, if you just kind of leave a place good, well, then a lot of the good guys, we've been fortunate to have some good ones, get a chance to become what they want to become. Scott gets to be the head coach at Temple, and then, Craig Martin gets to be Ben McGee, who's the head coach at Sweetwater now, was an OC, and and then Craig was, and what I'm saying is it's just I love it because everybody that I've been fortunate enough to work with has a chance to grow and get better and advance, if you will. So Scott's one of those guys. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, I haven't looked at Temple, right, obviously, like I do now, right? I'm looking to try to play him now. And so, I mean, it's the same thing I thought I'd see. I mean, they just, he's doing the same. They're play hard. They're, you know what I mean, all those things that Temple's known for.
You have the game. It's at McLean Stadium, beautiful place, Temple against Rockwall Heath. What do you think it'll be like when you get out on that field? And you've got to win a game for Rockwall Heath. You've got to win for your program, for your players. But is it going to be somewhat, is it surreal? Is it emotional when you look across and you see those uniforms that you coached for so long?
Oh, David, I don't know. I mean, I guess I won't know that until I tell it. But I will tell you that. I mean, I don't. It's not about me, it's not about Scott. It's just, you're exactly right. I mean, I want to win a football game for our kids that work hard. They want to win one because their kids work hard. It's the nature of the playoffs. And so I'm not looking for any skins on the wall or, it isn't about me or what I get, I mean, I think I really kept it in that lane, David. It just, I love Temple. I loved everything about it. I love Rockwall Heath, and I love everything about it, and I'm committed to our kids, and they're committed to theirs, and we're going to go out and play a football game, shake hands when it's over, and hug each other's neck, and one of us is going to move on, and one of us isn't, and it's really that simple for me. I know it's not for fans sometimes, and it makes for good, good radio and good newspaper stuff, but for me, it's just a game that I want to win because I want to move our kids on, right? There's no personal satisfaction in coaching against Temple. I have tremendous love for that place and always will, and it was great to me, and I respect everybody, and we're just going to go play hard and try to win a ball game.
Mike Spradlin, head coach at Rockwall Heath on SicEm365 Radio.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include food, screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High Performance Men, remember, it's not just a petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
McCormick. Second effort into the end zone, touchdown. Sincere McCormick.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Jeff Traylor, first-year head coach at UT San Antonio. We had him on, I believe, the day that he was introduced with the Roadrunners. They're bowl-bound, and I saw where Brett McMurphy on Twitter earlier today said that they are the first program in college football history to receive 2 bowl berths in the same year. Of course, we know what happened to the first one with SMU. Jeff, good afternoon. Thanks. How you been, young man? Everything's going well in San Antonio, huh?
I'm great. What do you think the odds are I can talk Dr. Compost into giving us our bonuses twice? Think we got any chance of pulling that off, David?
Hey, I tell you what, you could probably sell that to him. And as all the publicity I've seen you've given that school and that program and what you've done, I got a feeling he might do that anyway. How ironic is it you were going to play SMU, and now you're going to play a bowl game on their campus?
Yeah, there's even more irony than that. I was the interim head coach there, got the interview for the job, was really close to getting it, and they gave it to Sonny, which is a great choice, obviously. I know a lot of those players, got to recruit Shane Buechele, University of Texas. He was the quarterback. It was just going to be a lot of fun. We were really looking forward to it. Our kids were excited. They're from San Antonio. Their kids are from Dallas. It was just going to be a fun little matchup, and it crushed us. But Dr. Compost let us know pretty quick we're going to be in a very exciting bowl against the Power 5 team on ABC. We're just waiting to see who it's going to be.
Coach, how much did you have to scramble, though? I mean, or do you have a comfortable amount of time that you feel to get ready for this?
It's just been the year, right? It's just been that way all year. Preparing for Memphis, and then it's Middle Tennessee. It was going to be LSU, then BYU. We're just kind of used to it, honestly. We're preparing for Marshall. We thought we were the conference champions, then we weren't. So then we went to SMU, and we prepared for them, and now we don't. And, we always make our folders, right? And I have my notebook with all their, logos on it and all my practice scripts. And I got a Marshall one back here. I got a Rice one back here. I got a SMU one back here. I got Memphis. I got LSU, and didn't play any of them. But, heck, we prepared for all of them. Fantastic.
Coach, I follow a couple of UTSA folks on Twitter, and I've noticed, each week with the wins and just the competitive games, a little bit of excitement building. I think it was a couple of weeks ago when you beat North Texas that you had completed the Texas sweep and beat UTEP and didn't get a chance to play Rice. But just how important is that to beat those in-state schools? And do you feel a little bit of buzz rising as you've had success this season?
Yeah, no doubt. It's gotten more electric each week. Our kids have played in 11 games, which is fantastic in itself. Obviously, we feel great about winning all those Texas games for recruiting purposes. That's why SMU is such a big deal for us, just to get to do it. But the 2-1-0 trying to lift up this brand is very, very hot right now. The class we're going to sign tomorrow, I just told my staff, if we can get all those signatures to come across, it'll be one of the best recruiting classes in the history of our school. And we're really excited. We've got a chance. We've got a very young football team, and obviously getting to get in here and have a lot of success always helps. But our kids love football. They love to practice. They love to play. There's no chance we would opt out of a ball game unless we just had to. If they put the ball down in a parking lot right now, our kids will show up and play.
You mentioned you're young, and I looked at your depth chart that was released as well, but you have like 2 starters, is that right? Two seniors on offense. And everyone has a chance if they wanted to come back. So more seniors on defense, but is that kind of explain how young you really are?
And every one of those seniors has acknowledged to me that they're going to come back.
Wow.
So we have a really great chance to bring back every single player in our first 2 deep, which that will be. And I know everybody else does too. It's next year's going to be as bad as college football is this year and what everybody's going through. It's going to be that much better next year just because the teams are going to be incredibly stacked with all these super seniors. And everybody's just going to be so excited to have fans back in the stands. Cheerleaders, bands, I can't wait for it to be back to the old days again.
What are your sleep habits like tonight, the night before signing day?
They're not good ever, but especially this night, you just worried, especially, we have a great reputation of finding kids, and you just hate for somebody at the Power 5 that might not have been doing their work. And all of a sudden they try to come in the night before and postpone your kids, sign until February, and then try to steal them from you. Those are the things you're always worried about. But we haven't had that happen to us. But once last year, they picked one of our kids who's actually starting in the Big 12 right now. So we at least identified a very good player before we got picked. That's what you're always worried about.
Coach, you mentioned that you're going to have your seniors come back, and that's fantastic. We've seen Baylor already. A couple guys have made their decisions. One's coming back, one's not, et cetera. How crazy do you think this offseason is going to be with the transfer portal and this free year of eligibility for everybody?
Craziest one ever. There's no doubt about it. We're going to try to save. We're going to do our best to save 3 initials. It's going to be hard because so many kids are reaching out and want to jump on our squad. So we need to save 3. Just because there's going to be so many fantastic players looking for a place to play. All these kids think the grass is always green on the other side of the fence. And that quote is always, it says anonymous, but I've always said it's the devil that's always teaching us the grass is always green on the other side of the fence in so many other ways other than just college football. And I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of great young players get really humbled here jumping this transfer portal so much.
Well, I mean, the heck with all that. There's 2 more important things than UTSA football. It's the Birdhouse and Gilmer and Carthage.
Well, some things never change, right? The birds are more beautiful than they've ever been, I will say that. And the problem is my wife has got this little dog now. It's probably about 5 pounds, David. And she's just terrified a hawk's going to take it off. So she's afraid. And I did see a hawk swoop through there and just take one of my birds off its feeder. And I know I'm sounding old as heck right now, but since I told her that story, she's terrified. The hawk's going to grab her dog. So I'm going to keep feeding my birds. And that hawk, I just hope it doesn't take my wife's dog. Now, as far as Carthage and Gilmer, what a great matchup. It's awesome. And I got to be careful because of recruiting purposes. And me not saying too much, but 2 great programs. And the 903, baby, be Texas at its finest right there.
Well, and the 210, the finest for what you've done to keep kids in that, the young men in that area as well. back to the bird feeder, the hawk, and the dog. You understand if the hawk gets the dog where you end up sleeping.
You know, what's that movie? There's some movie. It's a great movie, I think, with Betty White in it, and I don't remember, some kind of love chick flick movie. But there's a scene in that movie where that hawk comes in there and grabs that dog. And for some reason, my wife keeps making me watch that over and over and over again to let me know what it's going to look like if that goes down. So I cannot have Izzy, the 4-pound dog, get taken off by a mighty hawk.
Maybe you could get one of those like spike collars or like a vest or something. That way, when the bird tried to pick it up, like it would just, it couldn't do it.
No kidding. She leaves the leash on the dog just in case the hawk gets it. I guess we can like grab onto the leash. I'm like, baby, if that hawk gets that dog, all you're going to have is a bunch of hair. You're not going to worry about grabbing that leash.
It's like a fish on a hook. Like all of a sudden you got a fish to get like a bass, and then all of a sudden there's a what do you call it? Like a shark on the end of that thing. It's going to just snap it right off.
No doubt. So yeah, isn't it funny how they have a great way, David, of keeping things into real perspective. We're worrying about a bowl game. She's worried about her poodle getting yanked up by a hawk.
Oh, I apologize for going where I went. Let's get this back off the rails here.
We tend to always do that.
Yeah, I know.
Something about our conversation.
Yeah, I know. Craig, anything?
So, Coach, what's bowl preparation like for you right now? I mean, as far as you got to nail signing day down, but, kind of how does that work, especially when you're waiting to know kind of the details of who you're going to play and all that?
We thought we'd know today, Craig. So we lifted and ran and conditioned them a while ago. We're going to give them all tomorrow. I thought that'd be a day of preparation where we know our opponent, but I'm afraid we're not going to know. So we will work on us Thursday. A lot of just good on good, inside run, team run, scale, the tempo periods. Not much scout team at all. Be pretty physical because we're so far out from the game. I'll probably give them Friday and Saturday off and hope like heck we know who we're playing on Sunday and bring them in Sunday and have a normal work week.
Jeff, how much fun, despite the crazy, how much have you been able to enjoy the journey this year, despite the ups and downs of COVID?
I really feel strongly that God has prepared me for this. 20 years ago, I was hired at Gilmer, and I didn't enjoy the journey. We won 6 games, then 8, then 10, then 13, then 16, and then we didn't lose many more after that. And you were along for that with me, David, so you remember it well. I was so young, I did not enjoy it. I was stressed the entire time. And I made a pact with myself and my coaches and my family. If I ever got a chance to do it again, I was going to enjoy every step of it. I've held true to my word. I'm much older and I'm much wiser than I was then, David. And I feel like God's prepared me for this, and we've enjoyed every step of it. We should be 11-0, and we could also be 2-9, David. Well, 7-4 is probably right where we deserve to be. But we're going to get up every day, David, and be our absolute best. With a smile on our face, we're going to be grateful no matter what happens. And whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. It's just at a place where I am in my life, David. I'm much more at peace with my own self as a coach, as a person, as a human. And I'm going to enjoy it. And we've enjoyed every step, David.
And enjoy tomorrow, because I know you guys do know how to find the talent, recruit the talent. And as you said, it's a great compliment when a Power 5 comes in and starts wanting to maybe take away one of yours. It's no different even if a Power 5 at a smaller Power 5. We've seen this with Baylor. They might have a player committed, then all of a sudden Oklahoma or A&M or Texas or someone like that loses a commit. Guess where they go? They go find the guys that Baylor had uncovered, or that SMU or TCU had uncovered, or that UT San Antonio had uncovered. It's part of the I guess the latter. But man, you guys, the amount of positive press that you're getting, the amount of what you've done, the energy there has been phenomenal.
Well, to be on national TV 8 times, that's never happened in the history of our school. We broke our offensive school record back-to-back weeks in the Alamo Dome. That's hard to do. It's just been a lot of fun. It really has been. We got the second leading rusher in the country in Sincere McCormick, one of the top 10 defenses in the country, one of the top 10 special teams in the country. And I mean, the 2-1-0 triangle of toughness, it travels. We're excited about our brand. And we didn't get in this chair, David. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, right? I'm just a good old boy from East Texas. But I can identify talent. We can recruit the heck out of it and develop it. And it's fantastic how many times my great players have made me look really smart on the football field, and they're going to keep doing it for me because we got some great players coming in tomorrow.
Thank you, Jeff. Congratulations. Good luck in the bowl game. Enjoy it, as you said you are. I'm glad you are, because it's a stressful position, no question about it. Thanks for your time.
Craig, David, appreciate you. I've always been fantastic. God bless. Merry Christmas and birds up.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
No, just not dogs up, right?
Yeah.
So his brother is the one, Kurt, who was at Gilmer with him, and then he was the head coach at what is now Tyler Legacy before he took the job with his brother at UT San Antonio. Was the one that gave away the secrets of the bird house.
Oh, it was Kurt.
It was Kurt. And so he will get a kick out of that because he always seems to. I'll make sure I share that with him. He'll get a kick out of it. All right, coming up next, high school football state championship week. One game has been postponed, that 1A six-man game. But we've got to do Pick'em, and it is a race for the finish. Down the stretch they come. We have one more week, 4A down to 1A. And then we have 5 weeks, including this week, with 6A and 5A teams. We'll come back with our Pick'em, give you an update of the standings. Also, Jesse Washington, he's an author of a book about John Thompson, the former Georgetown Hoya great, the head coach. I thought he was incredible as a color analyst on the radio and TV as well in basketball. Jesse Washington will join us at 4:40 on the book, I Came as a Shadow. This is SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, and Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions, here to help you, your family, your business, whether it's great times or tough times. All of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps, and convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They've got great products like First Free Checking. When they say free, they mean free. No minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, unlimited check writing, and unlimited debit card purchases. The First mobile app, do your banking wherever you are. You can check balances, make transfers, pay bills, and transfer funds. Everything they do is fantastic. I keep saying this on the spots. They do not disappoint at all. I have had nothing but great things in the more than a decade I've been with the First National Bank of Central Texas. Like personal and mortgage loans, they helped me get my mortgage in a kind of a complicated financial situation. They helped me improve my credit. So many great things that they've done. First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPElectricUSA.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, here we go. Pick'em. High school football pick'em. The state championships begin tomorrow. Thanks to Jeff Traylor, University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA. I got to get to where I am, the pick'em sheet, as we are now down to a one-game edge that I have over the Nat on a summer night trying to grill. Grayson Grudhafer, Craig Smoak remains. He's now 3 back. There's the standings.
Had a rough week last week, really rough week.
I did okay, but Grayson went 4-0 in the games that were flip games. Really don't know why anyone invited him to the picnic. He was 16-4. I went 14-6, which is pretty good during that week. But everybody else, Craig, you were just 13-7, but that's not that much. But we lost ground, all the tiebreaker games. Here we go. Jesse Washington, the author of the book about John Thompson, he'll join us today at 4:40. Paul Catalina, Sterling City in May.
I'll take May.
I'll take Sterling City.
I'll take Sterling City. These guys may not play for a month, but we have to do the game. We'll put it on record. Richland Springs and Balmorhea.
I'll pick Richland Springs. I thought we were rotating.
Richland Springs.
Craig, that's you? Okay. Post and Shiner. Oh, God. I'm going to take Shiner, the explosive offense. Post with the impressive win against Crawford, but I'm going to take Shiner.
Shiner.
Paul, Mart and Winthorpe.
Mart.
Maybe one day there will be a game where I actually don't think about picking Mart, but it's been like 3 years and that hasn't happened, so I'll go Mart.
Well, that was Franklin dusted him one time. Remember that?
They get beat on occasion, but I know. How often do you pick against them?
I usually don't even try to put them in because it's obvious, but they're in the state champion.
Game,
Hallettsville and Jim Ned. Jim Ned knocked off Mount Vernon. Hallettsville got the win against Llano. This is Craig.
Jim Ned.
I'm going to take Hallettsville.
I'll take Jim Ned.
Canadian and Franklin. I'll take Canadian. Paul.
Canadian.
Craig, Argyle and Lindale.
Argyle.
Boy, I hate going against Jordan Jenkins and Lindale, but Argyle's just been so good. I'll take Argyle.
Did Grayson pick Lindale? Did he go with his prediction?
No,
he went Argyle. Yeah, he went. Sorry, he told me. Yeah, I'll take Argyle. I mean, it's just so hard to pick against them.
Gilmer and Carthage. This is Craig.
Carthage.
Now my spite pick will actually work. Carthage.
42-14 the first time they played. I think it was 28-0. Gilmer is better, but that's a team that's been this is their kryptonite, Carthage, over the last several years. All right, it's Midland Lee and Trinity. It's Euless Trinity, and I'll take Trinity. Paul.
Trinity.
Craig.
Trinity.
All right, Paul. Permian and South Lake Carroll.
Carroll.
Oh, me? South Lake Carroll.
South Lake Carroll. The late Butch Henry would take Permian.
Yeah, for sure.
And who knows? Maybe they win because Butch was going to go with the guys that were good in the 70s and 80s. I loved his loyalty to them. Things have changed a little bit. All right, this is me, Westfield, and Kane. Kane's a new school. Westfield's loss was to Spring. I think Kane may have lost to Bridgeland. They're still really good. I'm going to go ahead and go with Westfield here.
Westfield.
All right. Paul, Rockwall, and DeSoto. DeSoto. Craig, Cy-Fair and Tompkins.
Go Tompkins.
I'm going to go Tompkins as well.
Yeah, Tompkins.
All right. North Shore and Dawson. Dawson's undefeated, but North Shore. Is there a delay between me and you? I can't. It's like going a different time zone or something.
I've lost track of who's going when.
All right, this is Craig first. Temple and Heath.
Go Temple.
I'll go Temple.
You know, the thing about that is that Heath their losses are to South Lake Carroll.
Yeah, I'm not.
And who is it? Rockwall. Both of them are damn good.
I'm not totally sold on my pick there. I think Rockwall Heath will put up a good game, but, Temple's playing pretty well.
Temple shut out of Waxahachie, who they should beat, but that was impressive, 38-0.
They had two stands in goal line stands, yeah.
Which is not what Temple's all. That's always been a team that they kind of gave up a lot of points when they played somebody pretty good, even when they made the run into the 5A state championship. All right, Denton Ryan and College Station. I'll take Ryan. Paul, Lancaster and Longview.
Lancaster.
Woo! You and Grayson are taking Lancaster. It's hard for me to pick against the Lobos. I did before. Who was it? Highland Park beat them, right? I'm going to take Longview. I don't feel good about it. All right, Craig, Lone Star and Magnolia.
I'm going to go Lone Star.
I will too. Paul?
Lone Star.
That's a team with the worst record, like 3 or 4 losses, but we know how good they are. Cedar Park and Foster. I'll take Cedar Park. Paul?
Cedar Park.
CP.
And then Ennis and Timberview. Craig?
Ennis.
I don't know if we have but one game difference out of all of the games we picked. That's so boring, and there's too many good games.
I picked May. I think that's...
You did pick May, and Sterling, and May won it last year.
That's why I picked them.
Yeah. All right, it's 4:27. Couple of other high school notes. I wonder if we got a couple more. Oh, here's a note from Babe Laufenberg. Here's a random Cowboys note. Cowboys are 4-9, right, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
After that scintillating win against the Bengals.
I think they still have the 4th or 5th pick in the draft, so.
No team who has ever during the season been 4-9 made the playoffs in NFL history. 95 teams have been 4-9. None of them have made the playoffs.
They'd have to win all 3 games to win, in my estimation, just because and Washington's going to have to lose because they don't hold the tie. They're 0-2 against them. And then they've split with the Giants, and they lost the Eagles the first time. So that would.
Washington is how many games ahead of them? 2?
Essentially, yeah, 2. Yeah, there's 2. That's 6 wins.
And swept them.
Mm-hmm.
They're 6-7 against 4-9.
Yeah, so they'd have to win out, and essentially Washington would have to. If Washington lost out, then they'd be fine. But
if Washington loses all 3 games, that means Dallas must go 3-0. Correct?
Yeah.
That's the only way they get in.
6-10, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the difference between first place and 4th place right now between Dallas and Washington. That's what it is. Dallas is in last. Washington's in first.
Mm-hmm. If Washington wins 2 of their last 4, this was entering the game Sunday, then basically the Cowboys are done. So Washington has to just win one more game to eliminate Dallas. It's amazing. Here we are. They're 4-9, and we're talking about how they still have a chance. Mm-hmm. Redskins played San Francisco. Tough win, great win, defense, but man, Haskins was shaky when he came in for Smith. They play Seattle, Carolina, Philadelphia.
I don't think they'll beat Seattle, but they can win one of those next 2 games.
Yeah. All right, it's 4:29. We'll have Jesse Washington coming up, the author of the book about John Thompson, momentarily.
How many games do the Cowboys have left? Because I can't remember
3.
a more apathetic season in my life.
Washington plays Philadelphia. No, they play. That's sorry. Yeah, they play. I think Philadelphia is maybe this week, and Jalen Hurts gives them a chance. Now, here's a great story about Conor McGregor. Not sure if you heard this, Craig. I know you'd love this. So Philip Mulpeter, on his Instagram account a week ago on Friday, posted that the gym he owns in Ireland would have to close its doors due to financial concerns brought on upon by COVID-19, lockdowns in the country. We've had 3 lockdowns now, and I think after each one, it's hard to get the numbers back in. People lose the routine, just our numbers dropping. Every time there was a lockdown, we got deeper and deeper in debt. Our landlord was not going to give us any break on the rent. We had to decide to shut the doors for good. Conor McGregor saw the post. He called the owner, told him, don't close it. He would send money to save the gym. On Sunday, Instagram, that Mulpeter said that the gym would remain open, would not disclose how much McGregor donated, but said, we don't have to worry for the next year or 2. I was like nearly crying there. I didn't know what to say to him, to be honest. I'm forever grateful. He basically saved our little community. Conor's not looking for gratitude. He's not looking for media to spread this around, but I wanted to let everyone know.
Well, that's good for him. You know, I think he's a nice guy. I do think he's had his moments where his fame and his celebrity and, you know, toxins and whatever else probably make him make some bad decisions. I think his temper gets him into bad situations, or has. So, you know, there's a lot of mud that's thrown at that guy. Some of it he makes himself. And you know, at the same time, I think he's a really generous dude, always has been, and really deep down a good guy. And it probably doesn't hurt. Whatever he sent that guy, probably doesn't matter dropping the bucket when you're getting offered $50 million to fight a YouTube star, as Conor McGregor is. So, yeah, he can donate a lot and then turn around and go fight a YouTuber for $50 million.
So the YouTuber, let me get this straight. So Logan Paul, this YouTuber, has $50 million, or his sponsors are willing to contribute $50 million.
It's Jake Paul. It's his brother. I don't even want to get into why I know the difference, because I don't care about either one of them in any way, but it is Jake Paul, because there was a whole to-do about one of the brothers when they fought Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson apparently was under the impression that it was the other brother that he was preparing for, and not the one who actually was going to probably be pretty good. And then we saw what happened. Nate Robinson got knocked out. So that brother, Jake, I guess, he's the one who I guess those dudes are rich. They're rich as all get out. They are filthy rich. And then they also have sponsors, and it's boxing / UFC. So, you know, there's always corporate types that want to come in and, you know, you get a real UFC fighter, a legendary guy like Conor McGregor taking on somebody with a really big online following like the Paul brothers. And, I guess there's some interest there, but I have none in it. I'll just watch the YouTube clip of Conor knocking him out later on. But, yeah, he's being apparently offered $50 million to take that fight, Conor McGregor is.
Okay, you know.
I'll do it for half that.
Yeah, buddy.
I'll get punched in the face.
I bet Nate Robinson, I would love to know what Nate Robinson got, because I would be surprised if he even hit the middle.
You know what he got? He got a whole bunch of embarrassment.
Yeah, he did, because all of his buddies, all of his athletics buddies, just making fun of him after that.
He became a meme. He became that crying Jordan.
Yep.
Right? The meme, out.
And there's no way he made anywhere near $50 million for that.
Yeah. All right, somebody texted me and said, hey, you mentioned the other day that Mark's trying to win 4 consecutive state titles, and we gave the list of others who have done that: Sealy, Salina, Fort Hancock, and then Lake Travis 5. I mentioned the local teams, Bremond and Yo. The others who have won 3 in a row in state history: Allen with Kyler Murray, Richland Springs, Lamarck, Amarillo back in the day, Old Waco High back in the day, I also had mentioned them, Aledo, Lovey Smith, David Overstreet, etc., with Big Sandy in the 70s, Carthage, Dangerfield, and that was 2000, 11, 12, 13, whatever it was, the year that they beat Yo in a Hail Mary, remember? South Lake Carroll, Midland Lee with Cedric Benson, and Abilene High back in the 50s or so. So that's the list of others. I mentioned Mark Bremond locally, along with Old Waco High And Mart is already a part of that list. They're trying to get to 4. When we come back, he's written a book about John Thompson, the late college basketball coach, won a national championship with Georgetown. When you think of John Thompson, what's the image you think about? He's a big man.
Yeah, I think of him and Patrick Ewing, really. Yeah,
the towel around his shoulder, right? He always had the big towel wrapped around his shoulder. Something Gary Patterson could use. But
always.
Well, John Thompson didn't need somebody to hold it for him.
Yeah.
He took care of it himself.
And I want to say this about John Thompson. He was a great basketball coach in a time when he had the Hoyas and they were really good. Here's another thing about him, and I say this a lot, and I'll ask Jesse about this as well. He was a fantastic college basketball analyst. I mean, the way his voice sounded, the way he explained things that could be too technical, too X's and O's, he found a way to make it sound so smooth and so easy. He's next. Jesse Washington on John Thompson. I Came as a Shadow on SicEm365 Radio.
Lance Towson of eXp Realty is a good friend of mine, and he is who you need to call if you are trying to buy or sell a home. 254-214-3713. Buying a home is the most ridiculously complex thing you can ever do. There's so many things that you don't know about it, and you need a realtor in your corner who's going to navigate you through all that stuff. Lance is going to be great with all that. All the things that you want. Say you want 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, or 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, or you don't really know, you're willing to work with a lot of stuff. He's going to show you a variety of homes. He's got great listings. And if you're also trying to sell a home and buy a home in one fell swoop, he can help you with that entire process. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancetowson.exp.com or exprealty.com, or just Google Lance Towson, eXp Realty for Lance Towson.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army radiologists. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233.
Christmas time is Jeep time at Allen Samuels. It's the Big Finish event, and the world's most awarded SUV has 0%, no payments for 90 days, and employee pricing for all on select models. Save thousands on the rugged Renegade and new 2020 Grand Cherokees. Even new 2021 Jeep Cherokees are included. 0%, no payments for 90 days. Employee pricing for all. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717, or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
We're back on SicEm365 Radio. John Thompson, a Hall of Fame coach, won a national championship at Georgetown, went to a couple of national titles. I thought he was a great broadcast analyst as well when it comes to basketball. I've mentioned that many times. The book, I Came as a Shadow, an autobiography written by Jesse Washington, and he now joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Of course, Thompson passed away from us back in August of earlier this year. He was more than a basketball coach, Jesse. Obviously, this was a powerful, intimidating at times, big figure man. And the fact is he was a great coach as well. What made you write the book, and also how much fun did you have when you learned about everything about John Thompson?
Well, I wrote the book because he asked me to. And so when John Thompson asks you to do something, you jump to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Coach finally wanted to define himself. You know, he spent his whole career being described as a lot of things by a lot of people. And he didn't slow down to answer them or worry about what they said. And most of the time, what they said was not accurate. But finally, towards the end of his life, his children convinced him to share his story. And we need his story in this moment. It's so relevant to everything that's going on in sports and in society right now. So that's why I wrote the book. I was honored to be a part of it. And then, you know, how much fun was it? It was awesome. It was a roller coaster. It was serious at times. It was sad at times. It was hilarious at a lot of other times. Coach Thompson was a funny guy. And so just a once-in-a-lifetime experience to soak up Coach John Thompson's life experiences and help him put it on the page.
What was the biggest misconception that people thought of him that you debunked in writing this book?
That he was a racist. I mean, he describes in the book so many deeply personal relationships that he had with white friends, white mentors. He learned the most as a coach from several legendary white coaches, Red Auerbach and Dean Smith. He told me one time, Jess, you know, it's funny, at the end of my life, due to the places I've been and the things I've done, I got more white friends now than black friends. You know, and this is a guy who grew up in segregated Washington, D.C. This is during the Jim Crow era. He was born in 1941. So that was the biggest misconception, but there were so many other things. One of the things that he dealt with the most in the book was the perception of him as intimidating. And I really want him to explain it in his own words. But if I had to sum it up or give you a taste of it, this was a man who was 6'10" tall. Mm-hmm. He said in the book, everywhere I went, I brought me with me. He was 6'10". He was a dark-skinned black guy in a position of power and authority that nobody had really seen a black coach be in before. That created a lot of the perception of him as intimidating, even if he was doing the same things that a Raleigh Massimino was doing, or a Lou Carnesecca, or a Jim Boeheim. If he did it, it was perceived as intimidating.
Well, I thought the way he put his towel around his shoulder was intimidating as well, Jesse. I really enjoyed John Thompson's rise to greatness at Georgetown, and then also what he did in basketball. And I mentioned his broadcast skills as well. Where did the towel thing come into play?
He says in the book he got it from his mother. And, you know, it's funny, man. Nobody would have ever thought that John Thompson was a mama's boy. But he describes in the book very carefully how many things he did and how much of his outlook and how many of his actions came from the fact that he loved his mama. He put a towel over his shoulder because he saw his mom do it in the kitchen. And that's, yet another surprise from I Came as a Shadow.
What do you think his legacy now that he's gone is for college basketball?
I think college basketball needs his message now more than ever. We've got these kids running around out here playing college basketball in a pandemic. It has never been more obvious that the purpose of too much of college basketball, not all of it, but too much of it, is money. And Coach Thompson says in the book, he gave an address to a bunch of athletic directors and administrators one time, and he said, you guys all preach education, but you vote money. And when it comes time to make decisions, you do things where money is the main motivator for the decision. And so I think that his legacy now for college basketball is like a call to action. Do what is right for these kids. Make sure they are educated. Set up a system in which they are more likely to succeed academically as human beings than as basketball players. That's his legacy, and the NCAA really needs that at this point in time.
Yeah, I could not agree more. That would definitely be a much-needed message right now, Jesse. And Jesse, I was looking at the book jacket, and Patrick Ewing, Phil Knight, Coach K, Bill Clinton, Michael Jordan. I mean, and then Allen Iverson simply saying, "Thanks for saving my life, Coach." I imagine it wasn't hard to find folks to talk about John Thompson with you. How much fun was it just picking the brains of other luminaries and people that knew him?
Oh, man, it was tremendous just to see the effect that they had on him. And, they would tell me stories. I mean, this Coach Thompson had a lot of stuff happen. And for a lot of people who are in the public eye, they don't remember everything. It's just too much. So someone would tell a story and Coach Thompson would say something like, well, yeah, that sounds like what happened. Or he would say, I don't remember that, but that sounds like something I would do.
Yeah. Jesse,
so it was great.
I know you're up against the time, but I have to bring this up. Somebody shared this with me, and I thought maybe I read a glimpse of this, and I know Jack, who's here with us, one of our producers, the story you wrote about Waco and the name, your name. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to let you know that it's a powerful, powerful story. And I can't even imagine what it was like for you to come into Waco and not know what kind of reception you're going to get, or what maybe some of those who were associated with the family of the woman who was apparently murdered, and then also Jesse Washington's story. Jesse Washington's story, the name you have. What was that like? I have to bring that up before we let you go.
Thanks for asking, because that was a very meaningful piece of work that I was privileged to do. So long story short, when we launched The Undefeated with ESPN to explore race in sports and culture, it was the 100th anniversary of the lynching of a young man named Jesse Washington in Waco, Texas. And the population of Waco was, 3,000 or 4,000 at that time. 10,000 people came to see this young man killed. And so I really wanted to dig into that and find out if Waco, and by extension the rest of the country, had really been able to recover from that. Had we moved on? Had we settled that score? And so I spent some time there, met a lot of good people in Waco, a lot of people who are really working to move the city forward. I met some people who still had a foot firmly planted in the past. You can find that piece on theundefeated.com or at jessewashington.com. And it was just a really important piece of American history. And bigger than that, it's, okay, all of these things happened. We know they happened, but how do we deal with it? What are we going to do now? I'm proud of Waco for the fact that sometime next year, I believe a memorial will be erected or planted there in the downtown Waco to talk about what happened with Jesse Washington. And then that's when the healing begins.
I got to tell you, we're located on MLK and Elm, and you brought up Elm as a gift shop that was on Elm Avenue.
It happened just down the road.
Right here.
Yeah.
We're across the bridge, the Brazos, from the MLK Plaza. I started reading this, and I was like, my God, we were right here. I mean, it was right here 100 years ago or so. But I wanted to bring that up for those who are historians, or those who are from Waco, or those who are maybe still confused about many things. It's on The Undefeated. It's called The Waco Horror, and it was incredibly in-depth. And the fact that you went face-to-face with some of the members of the family of the mother who was murdered, and it's, wow. I just wanted to bring that up, and I know you got to go, but we appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Jesse
Bye-bye.
Washington, the book we wanted to promote, John Thompson. I think of John Thompson, I do think of intimidating, not because of anything he ever said to me, but he had those glasses, and he had the towel, and he was 6'10", and he was fantastic. His teams played hard. Georgetown in basketball in the 80s had the reputation in some ways of the U. Mm-hmm. Because they were physical and intimidating. And that was the way basketball was, if you think about it, right before you started seeing the Pistons and that kind of physicality, Indiana, Chicago, and some of those. If you ever watched the documentary of Michael Jordan, how they could beat him up. That was basketball. Boston, that's the way it was played.
It was 6 or 7 years ago, and I can't remember where I was. Because I can't remember, but he was doing the broadcast of one of the NCAA tournament games I was covering. It might have been in Jacksonville, and I remember walking, he was intimidating. Like, he walked down the hall of the media area, and I thought, oh my God, it's John Thompson. Yeah. Like, holy cow! And then you see him, and he's just this big dude, and he was real friendly and talking to people, and I got kind of nervous, and it's one of those things you kind of like, holy cow! I'm here at I'm at college basketball NCAA tournament, and here's a dude who won a bunch of these things.
Yeah, and so that story, Craig, I saw you pull it up. Craig loves history. Paul, you love history. I probably need to know more history. It's a very touchy subject.
Well, the Jesse Washington story is disgusting. Yeah. It's absolutely, it makes me want to throw up the way that whole thing went down. I know it was a different time, but it was still, I mean, it's not one of those like, well, back then it was, no. It was never right. And that story, and it's one of hundreds from, the history of America, the history of the world. But for Waco, that is a scar that will never go away. And it's not one that a lot of people probably want to even acknowledge or talk about because it is such an ugly scar. But it should be, because it was that horrific of a story. It was terrible, and he deserves, definitely some type of memorial or something along those lines. And it just happened just over here.
Yeah, it happened over here.
Really,
they're not saying to honor the man because he committed a murder. They're honoring the moment. They're trying to remember the moment. He killed somebody. But also what happened after that, when he was convicted or when the trial said you're guilty, is something that was just disgusting. Yeah, disgusting. They hung him on a tree. They lynched him. They burned him. His limbs fell off. Kids took the teeth out of his body that was hanging on the tree once it stopped smoldering, and sold the teeth for $5 a pop. That's the story about Jesse Washington. In the end, the part of the story, go read it. It's called The Waco Horror, undefeated.com on ESPN. Or you can look it online, jessewashington.com, and just read the story. You make your own opinion or decision or however you feel about it. But that's Jesse Washington. Appreciate his time. You can find the book Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can even find, I think it's even available at Walmart if they have the various book areas. You can go pretty much anywhere. It's, again, I Came as a Shadow, the autobiography, the hardcover here on the set from Jesse Washington on John Thompson. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. It's the holiday savings event going on right now, and it's the most wonderful time of year to save big on all remaining 2020 vehicles in stock, plus incoming 2021 GMC Sierras. Sierra's a truck with it all, power, first-class seating, unbeatable technology. It's the best truck on the road, and during Richard Carr's holiday savings event, qualified buyers can unwrap $8,000 off a 2021 GMC Sierra Tex Edition Crew Cab at Richard Carr. Maybe you're looking for the top-of-the-line midsize SUV. Well, Richard Carr's offering $7,000 off of GMC Terrains, $7,500 off of Buick Envisions, and there's thousands more on a variety of different vehicles, but you can test drive both of those today at Richard Carr. Plus, they have compact SUVs with loads of space and style. I'm talking about the 2020 Buick Encores. Those are available right now for only $18,950. It's over $5,000 in savings on the top-selling Buick Encore. And the ultimate gift this Christmas is a Cadillac. Save $3,000. Get 0% financing for 72 months on most Cadillacs in stock, including the XT4, XT5, and XT6. Let Richard Carr bring the Cadillac experience to you with test drives at your home or office. And at Richard Carr, they love their healthcare workers, military, and first responders. Right now, all of these valuable community heroes will get GM supplier pricing on all cars in stock. And for every car or truck sold now, Richard Carr will donate a new bike to Toys for Tots Waco. So get yourself a great deal and give a kid a deserving bike, or give a deserving kid, I should say, a bike this Christmas. It's a holiday sales event at Richard Carr. Get there now. Go to richardcarr.com or have them bring the test drive to you.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
And on second down, it's Williams up the middle. Short of the first, the ball is out. It's scooped up by the Cowboys. On the run up the field, Aldon Smith motoring to the other end, and Aldon Smith will take it in for a Dallas touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
That is the longest billboard ever, and it's because David Hellman is so good. And I have wanted to restart it. We've only done it for 50 weeks or so, but that's fine. David Hellman joins us, DallasCowboys.com. David, with what you saw Sunday against Cincinnati, did that change in any way? I know the Bengals are terrible too. Did that change in any way the way you view the Cowboys defense?
Not even a little bit. It is what it is. Like,
I mean, I said this on our show yesterday. You get a ton of credit for doing it. They forced 3 takeaways. They scored a defensive touchdown, which I think is only the second time they've done that this year. But, we played 13 of these things, and in 9 of the 13, they've been really bad. And that might be the worst team that they'll play all year. So I give them a little bit of credit for doing it, particularly, DeMarcus Lawrence had a wonderful strip on the first possession, and Darian Thompson and Jalen Smith combined. I mean, that's the type of defensive playmaking you want to see, but it's not enough, and it's not a good enough opponent to, change my opinion that's been cultivated here over the last 3 months.
What do you say to people that have now gotten excited about the playoff chase again?
Have they? Because honestly, I got really annoyed. I mean, it's my job to relay. It's my job to relay information. So all I did on Sunday was tweet it's not looking good. Here's what would need to happen if the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. And, a whole bunch of people jumped down my throat how could you possibly suggest that they'll make the playoffs? That's not what I said. I just told you what needed to happen. I have not come across many Cowboy fans at this stage who are still counting on that or who even want it. So if there's anybody left out there, I guess I'd say God bless you for being a very optimistic person.
Well, yeah, but here's what also hurt them. Let's just say that if there was a glimmer of care, I know that's supposed to be glimmer of hope, but glimmer of care, Washington doing what they've done, and then Philadelphia winning a game and looking the way they did, if there was any glimmer, that pretty much shut the door, right?
Yeah, it's funny. They call NFL not for long, and usually you're talking about careers and stuff like that, but the glimmer of hope was not for long. It was pretty funny. The Cowboys beat up on Cincinnati, and the Giants got crushed by the Cardinals, and that happened in the noon window, and you're like, oh, wow, buckle your safety belts. Maybe the Cowboys are about to climb into this thing. And then Washington went on the road and beat up on an injured 49ers team. And, regardless of what Philadelphia is doing, now you're in a situation where Dallas has to win out and have Washington lose out for the playoffs to be remotely possible. So, yeah, I mean, in the span of about 3.5 hours, it went from looking maybe possible to there's almost no chance. So it's not over mathematically. Maybe something wild could happen, but it certainly doesn't look like it.
Of the guys who you've seen step in for injured players this year, Tyler Biadasz, has a future, but what about Connor McGovern and anybody else? Have you seen anybody you think has a real future with the Cowboys?
Really good question. I think Tyler Biadasz and Connor McGovern are definitely 2 bright spots because, it was only September that we were starting to wonder if Connor McGovern was a bit of a bust because you have all these injuries and he still can't get on the field. But he seems like he's held up really well. Tyler Biadasz has played well in the opportunities that he's gotten. I got to be honest, I haven't sat down and studied the defensive tape closely over the last week or two. But I will say in the time that since they've cut Dontari Poe, and Tristan Hill's obviously been hurt for a while, Neville Gallimore seems like he's making the most of this opportunity. I don't want to call him a star, but, that was a 3rd-round pick at a position that typically, it's normal to see a defensive tackle need some time. And, if he's playing this well as a rookie, that gives me a lot of optimism that he can blossom into a pretty good player. So that's a handful of guys on both sides of the ball that have me feeling a little optimistic.
I was able to kind of watch the team. It's the chances are none, but it was good to see a team like Baylor. We covered Baylor, as you know, David. They've had a terrible year. LSU with their huge win against Florida. You can relate to this. It was just nice to win a game, right? Just to end the nonsense of negative.
Yeah, it's ironic. I think the last time I talked to y'all was on Thursday. I was joking, please, God, don't make me watch another LSU game. And they went out and played their best game of the year. And it just, and it's a little different for the pros because, if you're a bad NFL team and you win a game, now you're talking about messing with your draft slot. But at the same time, you become a sports fan and you decide to love a team because, you get an adrenaline rush out of watching them win. And I don't know if anybody got an adrenaline rush out of that Bengals game, but in a year of so much awful, it's always nice when your favorite team can win a game. And fortunately for the Cowboys, it doesn't look right now like that win really cost them anything in the draft order. So, yeah, I mean, you only get to play 16 of these things a year. So if you can give somebody something to smile about, or, maybe people feel less embarrassed to wear their Cowboys polo to work on Monday, that's not a bad thing. Hey, and I'm not talking trash. Like, I sported my LSU hoodie with pride on yesterday, and it was the first time that I've felt pride about wearing that in a long time. So, yeah, winning games is always good.
Hey, look, I will watch that shoe tossing and every meme associated with it over and over and over again. It brought me joy.
It's so funny. I mean, and, I know LSU won a title last year, so, I mean, I'm definitely not complaining. But, I mean, this has been the worst LSU season ever. And, by the time you get to the end of it, and it applies to the Cowboys too, it's just there's no joy remaining. But then you get something stupid like that shoe toss, and you're just like, oh, yeah, this is why I do this. This is why I let a bunch of teenagers dictate my emotional well-being. because of nights like this where I get to just relish in ruining a rival's season. And that's what makes sports cool, is even in a terrible season, you can still find some joy.
No doubt. Hey, David, I noticed y'all started up the draft show again, and I guess what are some of the early kind of storylines or points of focus for you guys? You get draft preparations underway.
Well, I think the interesting thing right now, and I kind of touched on it, is just, and I always got to couch this, maybe the Cowboys make the playoffs, maybe they find a way, but I doubt it. I doubt they do. And so now you're just wondering, where exactly are you going to slot? Because they could, they're probably not going to be in the top 3 now that they've beaten Cincinnati, but they could land anywhere between 4 and 12, depending on how this all goes. And I mean, that's a huge fluctuation. And so I think, now you're sitting here weighing. It's going to be interesting. Chase Young had this amazing game for Washington on Sunday. He played the number 2 overall pick. And I just don't know if there is a Chase Young in this draft. And so now it certainly looks like all of the truly blue chip talent in this draft class, at least from what I know of it so far, it's all offense. There's 4 really good quarterbacks. There's a couple of really top-notch wide receivers, and there's Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. Those guys all look like, legit superstars in the making. And then you're kind of trying to parse through the defenders, okay, who do I feel good about? Where could I get this guy? I just don't think there's a slam dunk like a Chase Young. And so obviously that makes it really interesting for the Cowboys because they need defense. So where they fall in the draft order is going to be really interesting in terms of trying to decide, what is the best route to go. It's going to be really interesting if they wind up in a range where an offensive player makes the most sense, because that's obviously just not really what they need right now.
You're a huge college football fan, and we know why. Even this year's been tough for you. It's been tough for most everybody. Craig is OU, so it's been okay, although different for them too. I brought this up to our fan base, our audience, those who listen to us. I have a vote for the Heisman. I kind of have an idea who I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3. David Hellman, you give me your Heisman vote 1, 2, and 3.
I actually got into an argument about that with my college buddies because, I think Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are the best players in college football right now. But, don't you need a resume to go along with it? Has either of those guys truly done enough to be etched into the history of the sport like that? I'm not convinced. And, I look around and, Alabama's loaded with, we've seen Alabama running backs win before when they weren't really the best player, Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry. Were they the best player that season, or were they just on a loaded team? So I don't love that. Having said that, if I had a vote for number 1 right now, I know I just kind of trashed Alabama, but I think I'd probably vote for Devontae Smith, the receiver out of Alabama, because he just looks like a freak show. I mean, he's been unstoppable in basically every game that they've played. Doesn't have, Mac Jones isn't going to go number 1 overall in the draft. So I think he's a good player, but he's not doing it with this superstar quarterback. And he's delivered in however many games they've played. He's delivered in all 10 of them. He had a punt return touchdown the other day. He went off on Georgia. He dominated LSU. So I just think he's been the most consistently outstanding guy in the country. And then, man, behind him, I'd probably put Fields in there because he's been incredible, even though it's a really small sample size. And I don't know. Who did you have number 3? I honestly don't even know. I can't think of a third.
I have 5 names that I'm juggling, and Devontae Smith is absolutely one of them. Kyle Trask at Florida, despite the loss to LSU. I know he had a couple of picks and a fumble, but he has been, week in and week out, he has been phenomenal.
See, I maybe I'm just a hater because I'm an LSU fan. I'm not impressed by Kyle Trask. I don't know. That sounds really mean, but from what I've seen of him, yeah, I mean, you should be able to will your team to victory. I mean, that's a bad LSU team that you lost to the other day, and threw a pick 6 in the process. I mentioned Kyle Pitts, though. I mean, a tight end is never going to win the Heisman, but if everyone was going to, I would give him a vote. He's a freak show too. The Heisman it's become that award where you're going to give it to the best quarterback in the country more often than not. But if ever there was a year to veer away from that, it would be fun if it was this year. I would have no problem with Devontae Smith winning it. Yeah, I haven't made my vote yet. I got the email today, and so I've been kind of just tossing it around. There's probably 4 to 6 names that are out there, but it's interesting again that Trevor Lawrence, was going to be the odds. It doesn't happen that way.
Some people already had him winning 2 Heismans and 2 titles and, just running off into being the first overall pick. It hasn't quite worked out that way. It's been pretty consistently for about the last 10 years. The favorite has not been the guy that ends up winning the Heisman Trophy very often with Manziel, RG3, among others. Hey, man, appreciate your time. Thank you, David, as always, and enjoy. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. That's David Hellman enjoying that LSU win against Florida. Paul, you would never vote for Kyle Trask. If you had a vote, you would not vote for him.
It'd be tough.
See, then you couldn't have a vote.
No, I would vote for somebody from Florida. Look, I'll tell you, the year Werfel won it, he was the best guy. Tebow deserved to win it because he scored so many freaking touchdowns. I mean, he was just a touchdown machine.
Did he win it the year they won the championship?
No, he didn't.
You don't have to.
Yeah, but he was just an offensive machine. Trask, I mean, again, I would give him a vote. Devontae Smith, though, to me, I like that. It's just, again, change it up. Let's not vote for a quarterback for one time. And again, I would die on the hill of Ndamukong Suh should have won it the year he won it. I thought he was, and it was no offense to the other guys, but he was the most dominant player I'd seen, and he was the player that everyone had to game plan for, more so than anyone else. So, and I guess Mark Ingram won it that year. But I have a complicated relationship with the Heisman and their voting, and I think it's a lot better now. I think that they've...
Have you dated with them?
No. I'm going to take a quick straw poll of this. Florida State and Florida did not play this year, but Brad Johnson, Florida State Legends kid, beat Florida. Does that count? Can I count that in our column?
No.
By the way, here's the interesting thing about Devontae Smith, who has been phenomenal because he wasn't even supposed to be their best receiver. Was it Waddle?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a part of it. He had 3 catches for 22 yards in a 52-3 win against Arkansas. If a quarterback had that kind of statistical game, he's done.
Yeah.
But when you're a receiver, sometimes it's out of your control. So when you put it in your control.
They probably just shut him. Nick probably else just shut him down.
I mean, it was 38-3 at halftime.
Yeah. Get all the Gatorade you want.
You want to hear my controversial Heisman take?
Yes, go.
Andrew Luck got robbed. RG3 should not have won. RG3 should not have won. Andrew Luck got robbed. Andrew Luck definitely deserved it that year.
Where is the camera? Turn the camera on. Sit down in that chair right now, young man.
It's going to be...
Face the music.
It's absolutely...
Don't they look like they're one of those camera things you at the fair? You get in there, they take a picture.
We need to get a light. We need to get a light back here so we don't look so like ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, I'm not going to argue that Andrew Luck should not have been a major part of that conversation.
Yeah.
RG3 had 2 bad losses as a team, A&M and Oklahoma State, back-to-back weeks. He didn't play, how did he get this job?
Yes.
I actually love you because you're proud enough and you have the balls to say that. And hey, listen, It could have gone to a lot of people. He just had to. Yeah. He kind of. You know what RG3 also had? He had, and this is not
Heisman moment.
Yes, but it's not Andrew Luck's fault. He had the personality, and he grabbed the country because of his personality and the way he had the flair of playing the game. But he had the moment against Oklahoma that pretty much sealed the deal, if there was any questions. But he had a couple of bad losses, and he was not the favorite entering that year. I think Andrew Luck probably was the favorite.
Well, and he also lost to Cam Newton, so he had a couple shots at it. Andrew Luck did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who? If
he should have a Heisman for sure.
Yeah, but I'm still bitter about Ndamukong Suh.
Oh, me too, definitely.
I don't.
He should have won, no doubt.
He should have won.
I mean, if he doesn't win, a defensive player is never going to win.
That's when I thought, because I remember doing radio shows after it, and we weren't together then. No.
Wait, when you say that,
together. We weren't doing shows together.
We weren't working together.
We weren't working together then. Oh, come on. It's much more than that. After this,
let's go.
But say something.
I do remember being so angry about it, and I didn't have a dog in that hunt other than it's just, if you can be a voter of a football award and tell me that a defensive tackle doesn't affect the game as much as a quarterback, I mean, that's just wrong, especially when the guy is, teams are saying, all right, we're going to let, I'll just tell you the game that was here in Baylor that year, Jared Crick had 7 sacks because they had to put 3 dudes on Ndamukong Suh. So they're like, we'll let Jared Crick jump his draft position 2 rounds so that Ndamukong Suh doesn't kill us.
Yeah, I've had a few issues with the Heisman. I wasn't big on Mark Ingram, wasn't big on Suh not winning. I've had a few different issues with it lately, and it's really still a cool award, but I'm not going to necessarily be all locked in on who wins this weekend.
That's like what you're talking about with Suh. It's like last year with Chase Young. I think it was like the Big Ten championship, and everyone was saying, "Oh, his stats aren't good. He's not having a good game." But then you're like, someone posted a screenshot of like 3 guys blocking him.
Yeah,
like you think that's not having an effect. I mean, maybe it doesn't look good in the stats, but like you can't just look at stats when you're looking at a defensive player.
No, but that's what they do. They look at stats, and because the defense will only maybe have 7 tackles and a tackle for loss, but that quarterback threw for 350 and 4 touchdowns. One thing stands out and one thing doesn't necessarily.
Even when they look at stats, they get it wrong.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry put up pretty much the same stats as Leonard Fournette in the same conference, and Derrick Henry was on a better team than Leonard Fournette. And meanwhile, out on the West Coast, Christian McCaffrey was breaking Barry Sanders' record.
Yep.
That I'll never get over that one.
2009 Heisman Trophy voting. Ingram had 1,304 votes. Toby Gerhart, who was the Christian McCaffrey before he was, 1,276 points.
Stanford's had 3 guys finish Heisman runner-up in the last 15 years.
Colt McCoy was absolutely in the discussion. He was phenomenal for them in 2009. 1,145 votes. And Ndamukong Suh was 4th with 815, 500 votes behind Ingram. And then Tebow, Spiller, Moore, Keenum, Gilliard, and then also Golden Tate. But that was a close vote. That's one of the closest votes. I think that might have been the closest vote ever. Maybe ever. RG3 won it in 2011 by like 300 votes, and that was one of the closest votes ever as well. All right. Okay, enough of that. 5:17. When we come back, Dave Veranda trying to describe the 2020 football season, which I know a lot of you, if you want to, you can text us how you would describe it, the Baylor football season, 254-339-1122. Armstrong and Jack run the Mothership. Paul and Craig, David Smoak. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Brotherwell Brewing, online at brotherwell.com, or just head on over to Instagram. You can see different events that they have going on over there each week. Socially distanced, of course, but they have trivia on Thursdays. They just had their last Eastside Market of the Year, but wait for that to come up. Right now, you can see what goes on. They've got today is Canning Day over there. And gifts right now. You can grab a growler and glassware box combo that's ready to wrap for only $18. That includes one 64-ounce growler and 2 branded pint glasses. Look at the picture on the website. Just beautiful, fantastic gift for the Brotherwell fan in your life. So go and buy Brotherwell. Get yourself some great gifts for people for the holidays. Check them out online at brotherwell.com or just check out their Instagram page at Brotherwell Brewing.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
When it comes to hauling the family and hauling cargo, see Alan Samuels. Get the king of minivans, the award-winning Chrysler Pacifica, or America's lowest price third-row crossover, Dodge Journey. During the Big Finish event, get 0%, no payments for 90 days, and employee pricing for all on Pacifica. It's minivan first class. And get employee pricing for all on new 2020 Dodge Journeys. Happy holidays from your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
You know what we should do? We should get that checklist, Paul, that we have. It's right here. I printed this out. The off-season nutrition list of Brewer, Zeno, Bohannon, Ebner, Lovett, Tejada, Atkinson, McVeigh, Newman, Bettier, Valentine, Burton, and Bradley King. Put all that up and just kind of watch as it goes. And as you know, and again, these are names that we were thinking about may go one way or the other. And there's others too that just might leave, as mentioned, as a redshirt sophomore that just decides they need to leave. But the top 5, Brewer, Zeno, and Bohannon, it looks very promising for Zeno. And Brewer leaving might have something to do with it. Not that Jacob didn't want to compete, but that's one less part of the cholesterol in your vein. And then Bohannon, Brian Etheridge is of the opinion that Gary's going to probably end up going back to where he was in Arkansas or near Arkansas, play close to Arkansas, which could be, who knows, because of the fact he's got a daughter there. And so I get that. And if that happens, and maybe he stays. And then perhaps after spring drills looks around and sees where he is compared to Zeno and Chapin, and then also Kyron Drones as well.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I'm kind of more interested on who comes in and not who goes out as far as transfers go, because there's nobody that would, like, now that Charlie's decided to leave, that's going to rattle me to my core. And Charlie didn't rattle me to my core.
On which side of the ball?
I mean, I guess if, like, Bernard decided to go to another school and not the NFL. Like, if he says, look, I'm hurt, I want to try my hand at the NFL, I don't care where I get drafted, I just need to go and make some money, that's fine. But there's nobody that's going to rattle me to my core that would go to another school, I don't think.
On offense?
On offense.
Okay.
On defense, it would, but I think that that's pretty solid given the fact that, like, you know, where are you going to go on defense, honestly, that you're going to get, especially given his track record at LSU, just better knowledge than Dave Veranda.
Yeah.
If you want to play in the NFL, I want to
Bradley
play
King and Tejada, two that we appeared might leave. Who knows?
Yeah, but Bradley King doesn't even really count. I mean, he's been here for a year, and he was a transfer to begin with, and it was a situation where had he played at Arkansas State this past year, he'd be in the same exact position. Like, I don't know that he really helped his stock that much, but maybe learned a lot, and that's what will help him at the next level. But as far as, like, missing him, I mean, we barely knew him.
So,
like,
we didn't see a lot of him, even though he made some plays.
No, he made plays, but it was just, you know, he wasn't such a difference maker to the naked eye that, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, what are they going to do without him? No, it wasn't that way. But no, he will be a loss, and I would anticipate him going to the NFL. I mean, we'll see what happens because it's a complete crapshoot right now. But yeah, I mean, Tejada would be a big loss. You know, I'd love to see Ebner back because I think Ebner is a difference maker, and I think in a normal season that maybe he could do even more than we saw this year, and he did a lot this year. But yeah, I mean, I didn't look at Charlie as like some giant loss, and maybe I'll come back to admit that I was wrong about that. But I just felt like it was about time for him, as much as anything else, to see something new.
Yeah, you know what's funny to me is that I hear and I see and I read and I understand the way it is. Well, Charlie should. Well. You don't know that because if you were in the same position, you probably wouldn't. But we want to tell Charlie what to do.
Like what?
Like Charlie should leave and go play for some other program. But if you were in his position, we don't know what you would do. You would like, wait a minute. Are you saying, you know, your pride would take over, correct?
I mean,
he's done enough for us. We don't need him anymore. He should. It's his career, not ours, and he's made that decision. He's leaving, which is what a lot of people wanted him to do. A portion of the fan base wanted him to go.
Right, but like the thing that people are saying in that regard, that's being a college football fan. That's being a sports fan. Like that's what we do too. I mean, hey, this guy should start over this guy, or that guy should.
I'm not debating that. I'm saying that we're telling him what to do, and that if we were in the same position, we would go, wait a minute, it's my career. It's fine to say he should leave or he should stay, or we appreciated you, but I get that. I'm not debating but it's interesting how people want to make the decision for him. It's his career. Why is that so difficult to understand? I don't understand. What am I missing here?
Because you're saying it's okay for them to have the opinion and then saying, but their opinion doesn't matter. So I'm just confused.
I didn't say that it didn't matter. I never said the opinion didn't matter. I'm saying it's absolutely fine for a college football fan to have an opinion about a player on the team they like. What I'm saying is we want to give them and tell them what to do, and yet if we were in the same position as Brewer, we would look at it differently.
Well, sure, because it's your decision.
That's all I said. That's all I said from the beginning.
Okay.
That's all I said. William Bradley King had 31 tackles, had 5.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage and 3.5 sacks. That's a pretty good stat line for a guy that's really kind of a specialty player.
Well, and for a team that didn't get to play as much as they wanted to. You know, or at least as consistently as they wanted to.
Played 9 games.
You know, so they had to stop and start so many times this year. I think that's a good. And he was somebody you had to account for. I mean, so that's something we were just talking about with Dominic and Sue. What I want from my defensive linemen at the bare minimum is I want them to have to account for you. I want them to have to go, okay, what are we going to do about this guy? And look, if they have to put extra resources on you, then it's on everybody else to be like, all right, look, so-and-so's getting double teamed today. I gotta shoot my shot.
In 2019, William Bradley King had 8.5 sacks, 13.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. He probably played in 10, 11, 12, 13 games. His sophomore year, He finished with 9.5 tackles for losses and 6 sacks. So even though he put up numbers, he was probably was he the most disruptive defensive lineman Baylor had?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to say so.
And
yeah.
I mean, a lot of you did mention, is pressures an official thing, or is that just something we do?
Quarterback pressures, I think, quarterback hurries, he had 4.
Yeah, see, but some of those, I think it's kind of a thin line. Like, does he have pressures, or does he have oh, look, I see him on the other side. Oh, crap, I'm going to go. I mean, that's not necessarily a pressure or hurry, but you're accounting for him, like I said.
He was the most disruptive defensive lineman they had, correct?
Yes.
Was there anyone even in second place?
No.
Don't think so. Now I'm going to compare what he did compared to what James Lynch did.
Well, that's not fair. I mean,
I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just all I'm doing was giving the numbers here.
Well, no, I'm not. Don't get heated. I'm just saying. I mean,
all I
Lynch,
said is I wanted to compare his numbers.
Yeah, I mean,
why is it not fair?
Well, I mean, one of them is the all-time sack leader at Baylor and played 4 years. I guess in year to year. But
I'm talking about the difference between James Lynch last year and William Bradley King this year, and James Lynch played 14 games. So it's he had 41 tackles, 19.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and 13.5 sacks. He also had 13 quarterback pressures. He was an All-American. 2 fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 block kicks. God, he was so good. He also batted down 5 passes. But he played 14 games, and here we are with William Bradley King on a brand new program. He played 9. Not trying to say he was as good as James Lynch at all, but he still put up pretty representable numbers, considering that nobody else on the defensive line really put up many numbers at all. And then he also did that without a Bravion Roy in the middle, or James Lockhart on the other side, or I think that's pretty good. But is he leave? Is it going to affect them? I don't think so. Like you said, there's only maybe 1 or 2 players that would do that.
Look, they were 2-7, and I know that you can put lipstick on a pig and say, well, they should have been or could have been. This goes their way. That stuff didn't go their way. So 2-7 again. Nothing's gonna rattle me to my core. Just and I think what's gonna rattle me to my core is when is all said and done in probably June of 2021, when we look at rosters and see oh, this guy was at Auburn, and this guy, now he's at Arkansas State. This guy was at Boston College. Now he's at USC. There's going to be so much jumble that I'm just going to wait until the dust settles and then make my assessment.
All right, so John McClain, Houston Chronicle Hall of Fame writer, next on SicEm365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, accessories, products for trucks. They carry a complete line of accessories for pickup trucks, Jeeps, SUVs, vans, and work trucks. If you don't see it online at createacommotion.com, you can call them because they can find it and get it for you. If you want to find a truck that needs whatever accessories or whatever bells and whistles, from even something that's a better bumper or better grill, something you want to attach to a truck, you could also have it sold, including their free warranty assistance and lifetime installation guarantee. If you buy it at Pickup Outfitters and get it installed at Pickup Outfitters, a lifetime installation guarantee. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive, online, createacommotion.com. You want bed liners, spray in or lay in, bed covers for your pickup truck that are retractable, some that lock in, some that are, you can replace them. And you can get that as well. It's a great place. If you have somebody that owns a pickup truck, has a pickup truck, that you're looking for something unique for a Christmas gift, Pickup Outfitters, accessory, products for trucks, and more at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour, 536, SicEm365 Radio. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak, Jack and Armstrong run the Mothership. Hall of Fame writer John McClain joins us on SicEm365 Radio. John, I thought last night's Cleveland and Baltimore game may have been as good a game as I've watched this year. Your thoughts about what you saw?
I agree 100%. It was Baltimore had to win that game to stay in the running for a wild card spot. The Browns, had they won, would have been 1 game behind Pittsburgh. They played the Steelers in the last game. Baker Mayfield played great, but I tell you what, to see RG3 couldn't play because he's on injured reserve. Marty McSorley, who's lucky to have a job in the NFL as a third quarterback, was the backup. Then when he went down, Lamar Jackson, to see him come out of the dressing room where he'd been getting fluids and go out and throw a touchdown pass was just drama at its NFL drama at its finest. And then Justin Tucker, who's right up there with Adam Vinatieri as the greatest kicker in history, to kick that 55-yard field goal, which should have been 45-42. Now, if you had bet on the Browns, you'd be very happy at that point because you're going to win your money. Spread was 4. They win by 3, but they're going to kick the ball. And they're going to have a bunch of laterals, except they go backward. It's a safety. If you bet on the Browns, you lose your money. It was a great game, and I think it's an example of what we're going to see at crunch time. Crunch time, which is December football, when teams are jockeying for playoff position, division titles, separating pretenders from the contenders. This is the best time of the year as we get closer to the postseason, and that was a great example.
How many times do you think in sports history has a player had to tweet out that he had cramps and that he did not have the runs?
Yeah, I can't. It's so amazing. People don't have a clue. Guys go and get fluids all the time. Now, it was 32 degrees. Generally, you get fluids when it's hot. But and so what if he'd had to run? I mean, what's the big deal? But they said he was getting IV because of cramps, and he was getting massage. So I don't blame him for going in. It's too cold to get massaged outside when you got to pull your pants down in a tent. But he was like Clark Kent emerging from the phone booth.
John, after last Sunday, are Texans fans just ready for this season to be over?
Craig, we've been ready for this season to be over for weeks. There's a group of people down here saying now that they've been mathematically eliminated, don't play Deshaun Watson again to protect him from injury. And I said, give me a break. They've been eliminated from the playoffs for weeks. You don't shut down a player. And they found an example, RG3 in 2013. And remember, the problem with him, I went back, he got hurt in the playoffs, blew out 2 ligaments. He was never totally healthy in that 2013 season. He didn't play real well. And he was coming off the first game in his history at Baylor or with Washington, in which he didn't score a touchdown. So Mike Shanahan gave him the last 3 games off because he'd been playing hurt. And they wanted to see what Kirk Cousins could do. Deshaun Watson's not hurt. He went out because he hit his funny bone. And people just panicked to see him over there shaking his right arm. And I tell you, if they tried to shut him down for the season, he would go ballistic.
What are your thoughts of where the Steelers are right now after back-to-back losses, and they just seem like there's something going on?
They can't run the ball. That is so un-Steelers-like. When's the last time you saw them to have like the 31st rushing game in the NFL? Steeler football's always been predicated on the run, being physical. You go to whether it was Three Rivers Stadium or Heinz Field, you know you're going to get beaten up physically. They're averaging 3.7 yards a carry. They're next to last in rushing. They drop too many passes. They're just not playing well right now. They got a break because they play at Cincinnati, so they should be 12-2. But the last 2, Indianapolis and at Cleveland. Indianapolis tied for first place in the AFC South. Cleveland, of course, trying to overtake the Steelers and win the division. The Browns will be in the playoffs. So they better enjoy themselves against the Bengals because they've got 2 tough ones down the stretch.
John, what were your thoughts on the Sports Illustrated piece about Jack Easterby and the Texans and his influence in that organization?
Well, he doesn't have a lot of influence in the organization, but a lot of people seem to think he does. He's never made a decision. Like right now, he's the interim general manager. All he's done is sign Josh McCown as a 3rd quarterback, which everybody liked. Got a 7th-round pick for a player never played, never would have. And then they signed a lot of guys on and off the practice squad. And he gets help from the coaching staff and the personnel department. And when he was working with Bill O'Brien, O'Brien gave him a lot to do under the general manager's auspices, but O'Brien signed off on everything. But for some reason, people nationally seem to think he's all-powerful, and he's not. He's not on the search committee. He's not on the advisory committee. They will consult him. And the owner, Cal McNair, said he and the new general manager will decide what role Easterby has, if any, next season. But one of the things they did, and I still don't understand why they did this, took 2 of their best reporters, gave them 2 months, and they called everybody and offered them anonymity to rip Easterby. Now, if I did that with you, Paul, and I spent 2 months talking to people you work with and your friends and your family, and I said, you can say anything you want about Paul, I'm pretty sure a lot of them would. And some things they tell me might have been embellished. There's several things in there that are a little bit off, but the bottom line is the thing about his resume, which has been tweaked at every step he's been and fabricated. That's something that he says he doesn't have anything to do with, blamed it on PR departments along the way. Well, nobody's buying that. And the fact is there aren't a lot of people that trust him in the organization because they don't know exactly what he does. He's got a religious background, and he's one of these guys that no matter what happens, walks around the portrait of positivity that makes some people nervous. And so I expect he'll be gone, and he'll go to one of the teams that's coached by people he knew at New England, like, say, Joe Judge with the Giants or Brian Flores of the Dolphins, and fade into the background and be what he came here, which was player development, not executive vice president of football operations, which is right under the general manager.
So the James Harden drama with the Rockets, anything stirring that city up like that right now?
Well, everybody's stirred up. He came back. He had to undergo COVID-19 testing. He'd been out partying. He was seen at a rapper's party, no mask, no social distancing. He was seen partying in Paris. And so he's back. He practiced for the first time. He has not talked to the media. He's obligated. He'll be fined if he doesn't $25,000. But he just gave a rapper $100,000 cash, a $200,000 piece of jewelry, and a car. I wish he was my good friend. I can tell you that. And so I think a $25,000 fine isn't going to bother him because all the questions will be about trading. They got a chance to have a good team again. John Wall is healthy. Boogie Cousins is healthy. They got a big guy from Detroit. They're not going to be playing small ball under Steven Silas. He's off to a good start. People like him. Their GM who was promoted, Rafael Stone, he's made some moves people like. So everything is positive except Harden. But he's got 3 years left on his contract. They don't want to trade him. They're not going to trade him. And they're certainly not going to give him away. If you want James Harden, you're going to pay dearly with at least 2 established players and 2 number 1 draft choices.
Yeah, it's funny how some of these guys just expect, like, I would like to go to Brooklyn, and that Houston's going to be like, you know what? Sure, buddy. We got you. Don't worry about it.
Or I would like to go to Miami, and then I'd like to go back to Cleveland, and then I'd like to go to L.A. and play for the Lakers. That kind of power.
Yeah.
That's the way it is in the NBA. The players rule. The union runs baseball. The owners run football. And most of those NBA players get what they want, but they have laid down the law here. We will not give away James Harden. When he turned down, and think about this, a 2-year extension for $105 million. Think of how much money he must have.
Good.
Yeah.
John, owners are meeting virtually tomorrow. Anything big on the docket that you're looking forward to hearing about? I know the extra game's going to be discussed.
Yeah, they'll talk about that. They won't do that next year. The expanded playoffs. What I'm mostly interested in is the salary cap. Mike Florio of NBC and Pro Football Talk had a deal last week. He got a memo that said the NFL's encouraged that the salary cap's going to be a lot more than that floor of $175 million. And if it went up $11 million, then the Texans would be under it. And so it's not going to be as bad as they thought. They are involved in negotiations for new network TV contracts. ESPN expires in 2021, the others in 2022. They would like to get them all done in this off season. And right now, those owners get $295 million apiece from the television. So with this new deal coming and ABC possibly getting back involved in Monday Night Football, streaming, there's no telling how much money those guys are going to make. And, of course, that filters down to the players.
Do you think the Sunday ticket will stay with DirecTV?
I do. I think it will. DirecTV will be in it. What they want is streaming rights. They want competition. They want Amazon, Google, Yahoo, Apple. They want all those big conglomerates to want to stream the NFL, and that would bring them even more money.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
That's Sic'em. Did you get him?
No, I think
we beat him. Well, we didn't get the Sic'em, no, but
yeah,
the more important thing is that we turned him off before he hung up.
He did not hang up on you and the audience.
Yes.
Does Jack know about this competition that we're like 2-28 against him?
That was Jack who.
Oh, Jack did that.
Who got us down there? So.
Yeah.
Very important. I should keep tally.
Jack hit John McClain's fastball today.
Yeah.
Is up and in? He went straight at him. Got a knock in the door. We had a lady walk in a minute ago. Just kind of like walked in. Hey,
could people just not walk in here? Because that's happened like 3 times where
I don't know.
Random people just walk in the studio.
I agree. The problem is there's no signage.
No, but there's no signage. Here's the thing.
But do you just walk into a door that you don't know anything?
They may think this is the office for the apartment complex.
Maybe. I guess.
Like if that was here's the thing. I know, and this you may just do that, but there's a curtain that's.
I know because we're doing things illegally behind the doors.
Yeah. So
that's what they think.
That's what
Jack, who was that? I'm curious.
It was mail.
Okay.
FedEx.
Okay. All right. See, that was just not, all they were doing was knocking to say that there was a.
It's probably a very nice guy, you know. Probably a very nice young lad.
There needs to be they're working on the signage, but the problem is you have to worry about various parts of what you can and cannot do. Right now, they're redoing the sidewalks.
Oh my God!
And the gutter system.
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we'd park 2 miles down the street.
So when the other day, there was one of the guys I parked, and the guy said, "Hey, you're gonna want to move your car." I said, "Oh," he said, "Yeah, we've got to do a little bit of work on the sidewalk." And I went, "Okay, that's fine." And I thought like what he was talking about was like, "Yeah, it's not a big deal. We just got to fix this and that." And then today, I'm there, and there's all these trucks on the side, and they're re-asphalting.
Today,
and there's a gigantic jackhammer.
There is no sidewalk.
There's no sidewalk.
Oh, we can do a little work. Rip it all up.
And again, this is a brand new facility, and something probably was not right. Maybe it's the sewage system, or maybe it's the drainage system.
Why water was rolling in here the other day.
But you know what's interesting is that they had just painted and laid the remember the part along the side of the sidewalk. Is that all gone? That the part that seals the sidewalk cracks?
Well, and like the places that they did, they're probably going to have to do that again, right?
I got to look. That's the first thing I want to know because and they're just doing what they're doing, right? I mean, they have absolutely destroyed the sidewalk edge, which is basically almost like the drainage part of the sidewalk, right?
I am pretty impressed that we have not heard
the
jackhammer, which when the show started was right behind the window here.
I love the ambience of a truck flying down MLK. Of course, we had the ambience of 5 weeks ago of a crash that was frightening.
There was one time when we were coming out from the open and we heard a siren. I was like, "Oh,
see, I think that's awesome.
Paul mixed a nice siren in there. Nice." And no, it's just.
I love that though because that's when you look at what some of the shows that are on various downtown locations. Of course, we're kind of there. We're not. We're across from the Brazos. The ambience is part of the deal. I enjoy it. Now the knocking on the door. That's we got to put up some sort of a sign. This is SicEm365 Radio. We're live between 3 and 6 and eventually longer, right?
Yeah.
So,
we need an on-air.
Yeah, there you go.
Like an on-air light.
That's exactly what needs to happen.
Because that has happened more frequently lately. Like it's happened at least, I mean, that was just mail, but earlier today, somebody just
literally just walked
in the door.
I bet I would, if we did a poll, she most likely thought that perhaps this was the entrance or the office of those who are renting the condos
Which
a part of this
I don't
complex.
think that there is one. Is there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When this place was first being built and we came in here and we started looking around, I went up, we remember we walked around. It's really nice. It's an incredible place.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really nice place, considering what this used to be, which was nothing. And they got the 2 hotels going next. A lot of energy, a lot of things going on here on the corner of Elm and Martin Luther King on the north side of the Brazos River. All right. Anything else, Paul? You got another break here?
No. We're wide open until you want to stop at 6. So
now, Dave Aranda on 2020. We mentioned that earlier, and then I got off into a tangent that made no sense. But here's Dave Aranda when he was asked in the postgame following Oklahoma State. This is not about the game. That game needs to be thrown. They don't even watch film. Like, if Larry Fedora's not going to watch film of previous offenses, he needs to throw that one away. Although he was at home watching that game, so he actually got a chance to do that. And that's kind of tongue-in-cheek, maybe not. Here's Dave Aranda when he was asked to describe the end of this 2020 season in Baylor's terms?
And I think that's something that's probably, I think that can be kind of understood, but I don't know if it can really be felt. I think you can kind of understand it, but it's the weight of all of it. It's heavy. And I think, just players not seeing their families, especially when they're so close to their families, I think just all the separation that occurs. I think when you think about people and connection and no man's an island and all of it, I think with COVID, you're creating islands for guys. And, the weight of that, I feel. And so I think, losing doesn't help any of it. And so I think it just adds another layer. But I think within all of that is a fight. And I think, you're fighting for the right things. And I think, I can see positive things stem from those fights. I can. And just didn't see it tonight, unfortunately.
I know, obviously, you want every opportunity you can get, but because of those challenges, is there a sense of relief that you guys have made it to the finish line?
I have to imagine there probably is for some guys. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that. I know for us, for me, I think for the majority of our team, we'd want to keep going and finish the way that we want to finish, which is not this. And so I think all of this kind of hits people different ways. And, I think when you step back from it and you enter back into it, there's opportunities for growth there and to learn and get better.
So there's that. And yesterday we played the part where he said, one day I was walking down, it was a morning, I turned right and there was one problem. So I turned left, there was another problem, and probably went forward. It might have been a wall or a third problem. And that's the growing pains as well of the first-year head coach.
That's also what's called being in charge.
Yes. That's why you, when you're the highest paid assistant coach in college football and you get a head coaching job, there's some things that everybody dealt with COVID. Some dealt with it better, some dealt with it less frequently, and some were also first-year head coaches. I don't know if many first-year head coaches. Arkansas's kind of hit their wall, right? He was the guy that everyone was talking about. Well, he was having success. No, he didn't. What's their record?
2-7?
Yeah, they hit the wall. Arkansas eventually fell.
No, I think they're better than 2-7. I think they're a little bit above 500 now, if I'm remembering correctly. They're 3-7. So you weren't far off.
They hit a wall. They've lost. It seemed like it's been like a month. They may have squeezed a win in there somewhere, but they kind of hit a wall, right?
Well, clearly, they've lost like 6 of their last 7.
But that was a name that was brought up. He's the guy from where was he at? Georgia. That was a name that people were going, well, he's doing okay. He eventually, Jeff Traylor at UT San Antonio. They're 7-4. Different schedule, but still, very few first-year coaches, I would think, had success this year. But you know what's worse? There's many of them who have been in the business or coaching for 2, 3, 8, 10, 12 years didn't have success this year either. Because when you have Penn State flailing, finally won a game. Michigan, hell, they can't even play a game. Nebraska, Scott Frost's third year. It's a mess, right? Tom Herman, another disappointing year at Texas.
All right, you mentioned Michigan. I'm curious to see what happens with Jim Harbaugh. I think he stays.
I think he is too.
I think he stays. And if I'm the Michigan AD, I'm going to push it on the extension. I'm going to say, no. We'll do it during the year, but we're not going to do it before because I don't want to be on the hook.
You're talking about extending him?
Well, no. I mean, because he's got 1 year left. So he's going to want an extension, but I'm going to say,
the Jason Garrett plan.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I would say, look, you'll get an extension. Look, if we see growth next year, if we see wins that we haven't gotten.
What's growth?
They're going to get wins.
Beat Ohio State.
Beat Ohio State.
Well,
beat
they
Michigan
might as well
State.
Fire him.
He's not beating Michigan State all that often.
I know. There's a lot of teams. I would say you're exactly right. And again, if we were in Jim Harbaugh's position and we were his agent, no. But I think if you're Michigan, because if you extend him, it's going to be 3, 4, 5 years, right? And then there's going to be the buyout that becomes even heavier. I think you're right. I think you make him go out and win.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't like it, go work somewhere else.
Yeah,
People will knock down the doors to get to be the head coach at Michigan.
I think college athletics needs to have a different standard of they get so afraid of what's going to happen if we let this coach leave. Like, if the guy, like, here's what I know, and I have nothing but admiration and respect for Matt Rule. But what I've learned about being here is that, look, if the coach wants to leave, he's going to leave. Even if he likes it where he is, if the opportunity where he's going to go is what he wants to do ultimately in his career, he's going to leave. So why are you negotiating against yourself? Very rarely are you, a coach can say, like, oh, I could wind up going to Texas or I could wind up going here. All right, fine, then go. Go. I mean, like, you either want to be here and we'll give you a competitive offer, or we're not, but we're not going to give you, like, Kevin Sumlin's gotten so much buyout money because at A&M, he had that first year in the SEC with Johnny Manziel, and it was this perfect storm of good, and they gave him a 5-year extension in the first year of his contract when, like, why don't you just wait until the third year of his contract and give him an extension?
Want to make a splash, want to make headlines.
Like, okay, if he could go to USC or well, let him go.
Yeah, no, because all you're going to have to do is redeal. You have to. When Mack Rhodes and Baylor gave Matt Rule that extension in, late October, they beat Iowa State. It was a nice win. When they did that, I wonder if they all, when they walked out the door, shook hands, did all that, if they knew that was basically flimsy paper. Rule, I sat down with him that day. I remember that. And, look where he is. He's making a lot of money. He's 4-10, 4-9, whatever they are, struggling. But at the same time, he sent me a text the other day. I guess I could say this. They'll win. It's the same thing that he dealt with Baylor. I know that we hated and couldn't stand, and some did not. Just when they mentioned process, he's doing the same thing. You've seen some competitive games. They've also not been able to close some games. They've had some bad luck. McCaffrey out most of the year. He's teaching them, even grown men, the process. And next year, he'll tweak it a little bit better. Then the next year, we'll see what happens. I think he'll do that. I really do at Carolina. And the NFL, who knows? It's so whacked out. Look at Cleveland. Cleveland's 9-4, almost 10-3 after last night. For Jack, thank you. For Armstrong, thank you. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoak. Thank you for listening.
Talk to you tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning with the signing day special.
Oh, my God. That's so early.
But we'll be on 7 o'clock in the morning for the signing day special.
Well, it's National Signing Day. We should be on, but that's going to be, hopefully you'll be able to watch us, enjoy it, and then we'll have full throttle coverage again at 3. For everyone I've mentioned, again, thank you for listening. Our great sponsors. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army radiologists. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months, and it's a happy experience. It's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.